Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've had some more injury updates since our live stream earlier this morning. First thing is DK Metcalf was questionable. DK Metcalf's going to play. Really wasn't concerned about DK Metcalf whatsoever. I mean, this was going to be someone that was playing no matter what. Second thing is DeAndre Hopkins is going to be playing this week. It is really nice to see that DeAndre Hopkins is not going to be a game time decision. Obviously, this is a player that's been dealing with the ankle. He played last week. He didn't really look like he was 100%. Now, with Hopkins, by no means do I want to go through and give up and say that we can't be playing him this week. I thought we were going to be looking to avoid him until now that we're getting that sense, oh, okay, if he is good to go on Saturday, we're a little more in the clear if you really needed to play DeAndre Hopkins this weekend. Now, our next thing will be that Isaiah Pacheco is considered a game time decision. Now, this does not change much. We weren't too excited about playing Isaiah Pacheco. If Pacheco were to miss, not going to be too excited about playing Jarrett McKinnon. Wouldn't be too excited about playing, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Fundamentally, this is a team that does not run the ball. Not only do they not run the ball, but at the same time, it's going to be a team that when they do decide to run it, they will implement 3 running backs into this backfield where it's very difficult to get excited about any of these guys. So outside of that, we don't really have too many news. I will continue to monitor the injury updates that we have, see if we get anything regarding Joe Burrow, see if we get anything else regarding maybe some of these game time type decisions. But outside of that, I think we just go ahead and dive into some of these questions. If y'all have any injury update questions that y'all want me to cover, be happy to go through and look at anything for y'all. We did cover a lot in our most recent video. But our first one coming out from Tyler says, Godwin or Pittman both have weather problems. If you're to look at my rankings of these guys this week, my man, both wide receivers are incredibly close to each other. Like if I'm going to pull up my flex rankings, I have Godwin currently at 43 and I had Michael Pittman at 39. It is very close. I probably go ahead and take Pittman, but ultimately it is going to be up to you, my friend. C-Melos is up, man. We have Kyron or Mike Evans in a full PPR format. Mike Evans is actually one of my favorite pick'ems on Underdog this week, where Evans currently is sitting at about 4 receptions more than less than. And honestly, I think Mike Evans has more than 4 receptions. Obviously, in a full PPR format, this is someone we're excited about. But still, nonetheless, I would say when we have the ability to play a running back that's going to have every single snap out of his backfield, I will be taking him over someone like Evans. Now, of course, if y'all want to check out any of those pick'ems, you can find those on Underdog Fantasy. Promo code FLOCK is going to get you a 100% deposit match up to $500 on new Underdog accounts. Plus, you're going to be getting our rest of season 2023 fantasy football rankings and tiers. You will be getting a Lamar Jackson special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard against the Indianapolis Colts tomorrow morning. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, we are shipping out a ton of Flock hats. Please use promo code FLOCK on Underdog and you're a member of flockfantasy.com. Make sure you go to the link in the Google form to claim your free hat. We have a ton of these to get rid of, and I figured we would have way more people that actually wanted these than they do. But our next question coming out from Kevin saying, 12-team full BBR2 running back slots. Who should we start? We have Etienne, Miller, Dameon Pierce, or Chuba Hubbard. Also, should I trade Olave for Kyron Williams? No, we shouldn't. We have Puka, Hill, Olave, Watson, and Woods. We're going to be going Etienne and Dameon Pierce. Now, full transparency, obviously, Pierce not looking hot. He's splitting the backfield 3 ways. While at the same time with Dameon Pierce, the entire offensive line is just decimated in Houston. I think Miller has upside, but fundamentally at the end of the day, if you are looking at what you get from Kondre Miller, this is going to be a running back that still is a big question mark where we don't know exactly what the split's going to be. So let's go Etienne and Dameon Pierce and don't trade Olave for Kyron. Now, Sean says, hey, Mason, full BBR start Swift or James Conner this week. We're going to go Swift in a matchup where Conner is going up against the best defense in the NFL, or one of them. Been going back and forth in my head. You can also use it as a tie break. Go, okay, well, Boston Scott's going to be out. So, maybe you have one less running back to worry about in Philadelphia. Josh says, DJ Moore and Jerome Ford for Joe Mixon. Considering the fact this is only a 10-team league, give me the best player. With Jerome Ford, I am worried at the end of the day that you may be in a spot where you have to worry about Kareem Hunt having a considerable amount of work this week. I think they split the backfield. But our next question coming out from, I believe, and Drizzle says, hey Mason, 12-team full BBR format. Kind of in a tough spot for my tight ends this week. Should we start Pat Frymuth or Dalton Kincaid? Now, I will say long-term, let me throw in the towel. I really did like Pat Frymuth this season, and I need to throw in the towel and say long-term Dalton Kincaid probably is a better option over Pat Frymuth. Now, with that being said, this week, I'm going to give one more chance to Pat Frymuth, knowing that you have no Deontay Johnson. Not only do you have no Deontay Johnson, but at the same time, I don't know. I mean, this is a situation where Kincaid's still dealing with Dawson Knox here at tight end. Omar says traded Chase and DK for Lamb and Jacobs. We have JT on the IR. DK to Jacobs, clear upgrade. Chase to Lamb, honestly up to you. I think it makes sense if you need a running back. James says, trade Nico and Jake Ferguson for Joe Mixon. Hell yes. How about Ridley and Dameon Pierce for Tony Pollard? I wouldn't mind either deal, if I'm going to be honest with you. If I had to choose between the two of them, I would be going for Joe Mixon. I think Mixon's going to provide value on that cost, regardless of the availability or the health of Joe Burrow. But our next question coming out from, I believe, Forum says, Jacoby Myers, Deshaun Watson, or Jahan Dotson at the flex. Or I'm assuming this is Christian Watson. If Christian Watson's good to go, I'll actually take Christian Watson here. And if not, we're going to go Jacoby Myers. Now, Falani says Stafford, Russ, and Madison, Javonte. We're going to be going Madison over Javonte now that Akers is not playing. And then we're probably going to be going with Russell Wilson over Matthew Stafford. Mark says Miller, Roshan, Elijah Moore. We need to pick two. We're going to be going with Miller and half BBR format. It'll be a little bit tougher. If you wanted to go with Elijah over Roshan, it's really up to you. I'd probably go Elijah Moore. It's a very tough spot. But against the Titans, I think we can assume that the Cleveland Browns are forced to go through and throw the ball. Nick says, in the Flockers Mod League, we traded Keenan and Javonte plus London for Jamar Chase. What are your thoughts? I appreciate you, Mason. If I'm remembering this correctly, I think that this is a shallower lineup overall. So if it is that league where you only start two wide receivers, one flex, I'm going to be completely fine with this move, though. I will say, I think that Keenan probably outproduces Chase for the short term, just knowing that you are going to have to deal with not only the Burrow injury, but no Austin Eckler in Los Angeles. We'll give that bump up to Keenan. Jack says start Breece or Gabe Davis and why. We're going to go Gabe Davis in a full BBR format because he is in a significantly better offense with more access to touchdown upside. Rich, happy to see you, my man, says, Mason, we need help out running back. We have Rachaad White and Dalvin Cook. I have Olave, Waddle, Jamar Chase, Pittman, Flowers at receiver. Who would you target and try to get a better running back? Thanks again, my friend. No, thank you, my man. Okay, so those top four guys are locked and loaded studs. I mean, the depth of the position is going to be Michael Pittman and Zay Flowers. I actually think we could get a considerable amount from Zay Flowers based off the conversations that I've had with people in these live streams. If you could go like Zay Flowers and in return get to a running back like Rachaad White, I think that'd make a lot of sense. Even if we needed to go through and we already have Rachaad White. I'm sorry, James Cook, a running back of that ilk. Even if we needed to go through and throw in another running back such as Dalvin Cook. And then Michael Pittman, we can try something similar with. But in reality, I just think you're having a much easier time to get something in return from Zay Flowers. But Jay, happy to see you, says, in a Dynasty one quarterback, if I trade Lawrence, what running back should we be getting? We have Jefferson, Lamb, Waddle, Higgins, Pollard, Waller, Montgomery, Myers. What do you think I should do for an RB? If you're looking to trade away Trevor Lawrence, I still want to be charging a premium in a Dynasty format, even if it's only a 1 QB league. I think that we're going to be looking for maybe one of those veteran running backs that, I mean, maybe doesn't have the long-term value. If you could get back someone like Jonathan Taylor, get back someone like, say, Saquon Barkley, or maybe a Tony Pollard player, that we already have Pollard, but just someone of that ilk that maybe doesn't have the long-term value of Trevor Lawrence, but gives us the short-term production. I think we could try to make something like that work. Now, with that being said, you'll probably have to throw in another running back if we are going to pull that off. But Iran says 12-team PPR, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. We're 0-2. We have Burrow, Diggs, Higgins, Jacobs, Moss, Andrews, and then Puka at the flex. On the bench, we have Khalil Herbert. Do I sit Higgins if Burrow's out or make any trades? Super tough spot to be in. I don't necessarily think this is a team that we want to be going through and making any trades. Even with no Burrow, I would still rather play T. Higgins over Khalil Herbert in a very tough matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs. But fundamentally, we really just need Burrow healthy. We need Burrow back in. Play Higgins almost regardless. I will say we are most likely going to be benching Joe Burrow himself this week, though, for another quarterback. Just because I think Higgins can produce regardless who the quarterback is there. And I won't have to rely on Burrow Monday night, and then he ends up not playing. Now, Marco's coming out saying, pick one tight end this week. Kincaid, Henry, or Taysom. Saints running backs bad at the moment. 100% I think Taysom could see an expanded role. I'm not going to be going with Taysom Hill, though. I think he's more so like a DFS tournament style play. He has upside, but very low floor. I instead would probably just go ahead and I'd probably go with Hunter Henry, who's been pretty damn productive as of late. Now, Noah says, happy BR start 2 wide receivers, a running back, and a flex. Gibbs, Brian Robinson, Moss, Ford, Pierce. Here, if we only go 1 running back, we're going to be going with Jahmyr Gibbs. If we're going to go 2 running backs, we're going to go with Gibbs and Moss. Wide receiver, we're going to be going with A.J. Brown and Diggs. And then for the flex, we're going to be going with Puka Nacua. Now, with the second team, you're saying Brian Robinson, Javonte Kelly, Dalvin. Okay, so here we're going to be going with Joshua Kelly as one of these RBs. And we're going to go Brian Robinson in a tough matchup as well against the Buffalo Bills. And then over at wide receiver, we're going to be playing Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, and I actually probably play Amari Cooper in there at that flex spot. With Amari, super tough run defense against Tennessee. Typically, you're going to have to air it out against this defense. Now, Jordan says, Sup Mason, all love as always. Happy to see you. Higgins, Godwin, Thomas, Judy, Nico, Brian Robinson. Which one for the flex in a full PBR format? Layman, Puka at receiver, and Bijan and Cook at RB. Really interesting call here with the Burrow injury. With the Burrow injury, if you really wanted to go through and pivot off of T. Higgins, I think you could. Let's wait to see if we get any more news regarding this injury tomorrow morning. If we don't, I'm going to be going most likely with T. Higgins. If it looks like Burrow's good to go, if it looks like Burrow may miss, then at that point, I think we pivot to Brian Robinson. If it was a non-PBR format, we may go Brian Robinson regardless. But it's full PBR. Misa says, got back from my Austin trip. I tried Black's Barbecue as recommended. Have to say you're right. Texas barbecue is better than KC. Oh, hell yes, my man. Hope that you had a lot of fun in Texas. Start 2, Pittman, Judy, or Christian Watson. I think we are going to go Pittman and Judy. I honestly think I would rather have Christian Watson out of all these guys for this week in particular. But with Christian Watson, his first week back, dealing with the hamstring, going to be super hard to go all in, super hard to commit to him right away. I'd rather see it and then go through and get him in the lineup after. But Joey, longtime member of the flock, happy to have you, my man. 14-team PBR format. We have Fields, Bijan, Pierce, Lamb, Ridley, Goddard, Puka. And then on the bench, we have Elijah Moore, Kareem Hunt, London, Roshan. Any moves we can make? Thanks for all the hard work. No, thank you, my dude. I will say 14-team format, obviously depth is going to matter a little bit more than it would in, say, like a 10-team league. Here, our only depth on this team, I guess we have a well-balanced team if you consider the fact it's a 14-team format down there with London, Hunt, Roshan, and Elijah Moore. Now, I'm going to be keeping Justin Fields. I think at this point, you'd be in a very tough spot if you try to trade him because I haven't seen anybody want to go out there and make a play for Fields. He's still a quarterback that has an elite rushing ceiling. You look at his underdog pick him this week. He's at 60 rushing yards. The receivers, running backs are strong options for a 14-team league. In reality, my friend, I think we just kind of sit on our hands. I definitely submit the starting lineup as is. I will say, as a quick side note, though, if you can pivot off of Puka Nacua for Calvin Ridley, which we already have, but for a wide receiver like Chris Olave, for a wide receiver like Amon-Ra St. Brown, for a wide receiver like A.J. Brown, that is 100% something that I'm looking to do, and I have seen some people be able to pull that off as of late. But ladies and gentlemen, we are about 2 likes away from hitting 200 likes on this live stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this stream, help us hit 200. And of course, if you want to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat, find it in the description, find it in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match up to $500 for new accounts. A Lamar Jackson special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard. And Underdog is giving away $10,000 to 10 separate people who include the Tyreek Hill total yards in their pick'em slip. You can go higher or you can go lower, but we had a couple members of the flock win $10,000 last week. want to make sure we can run that back this week. But 123 says Ridley or Kelly this week in the flex. Full PPR format, I will go Calvin Ridley, but love the confidence with Justin Kelly to even ask this. Kelly's going to crush. Now, Justice coming out saying 10-team PPR format where we have Hurts, Walker, Kyron, Hill, Amon-Ra, Hawkinson. And then on the bench, we have Pittman, Madison, Nico, Najee, Dotson. I'm 2-0. Been here for 2 years now. Love you, bro. Love you, my man. Thank you so much for the support. If we were wanting to get someone off this bench into the starting lineup, it would be Alexander Madison. So I actually think that, yeah, Alexander Madison is probably the guy that we go through and put in the flex spot. Just in general, I'm trying to get as many Minnesota Vikings and Los Angeles Chargers as I can into my lineups because this is going to be the highest scoring game of the week. According to Las Vegas Sportsbooks, they have it with the highest over-under of any game. Diali out here says, Sko Dogs. Yeah, Oregon put the beat down on. Should I start Amon-Ra, worried about the turf toe with Gabe Davis? No, we're going to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown. He should be good to go based off the reports came out yesterday. If going with Amon-Ra, should I start Gabe or White at the flex? We are going to go ahead. We're going to take Rashad White. Tougher matchup overall, but still he's getting every single touch, especially with the Chase Edmonds injury. Now, shots coming out. Happy to see my man says 1-1, 10-team PPR format, where we have Hurts, Stevenson, Sanders, Godwin, Amari, Wilson at the flex, and George Kittle at tight ends. On the bench, we have Eckler, Algier, Kareem Hunt, Cam Akers, Tutu Atwell, Robert Woods, Hollywood Brown. Any advice? Would love to see if we could pivot off of Garrett Wilson and get an upgrade somewhere else. I mean, if we could go like Garrett Wilson and Cam Akers and go get a wide receiver in the range of Waddle, Ridley, Olave, I'd really like that. And then this week we could go through and instead we could just throw in like a depth wide receiver like Hollywood in there, who is, I don't necessarily expect to be that much worse. But outside of that, great team, my man. I would probably say out of this list right now, you probably start Garrett Wilson this week if we can't get a better price on him. Now, Skate Dollar coming out says Mace in a 10-team league full BBR format. We have Mahomes, Adams, DK, Najee, Brian Robinson Jr., David Njoku, Puka. And then I'm actually going to have to pull this up on the other page. I apologize. Give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen, as I pull this up. And let me remind you, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like, and subscribe to this channel. We're 4 subscribers away from 196,000. My birthday's in a couple weeks. It'd be really cool if we get 200,000 before then. But let's go ahead. Maybe I can actually get the rest of this on the screen this way. Okay, yeah, so we're going to be going with McLaurin, Javonte, Kamara, Kincaid. Any suggestions? We'll be a lot better when we get Kamara back in. And honestly, when we have this kind of depth in a 10-team league, if we could somehow go from like Puka and Njoku, or Puka, Njoku, and Dalton Kincaid, and go get like an elite level tight end, go get someone like Kelsey to stack with Mahomes, that'd be a no-brainer. I know it sounds crazy, but we've actually seen some people be able to do it specifically over the past week with how much hype that you have for Puka currently. So I would be trying to do something like that. If not, if you wanted to send Puka straight up and go get someone like Chris Olave, go get someone like AJ Brown, I think we would. Overall, great team. I don't think you really have to do anything though, my man. Okay. Well, let me swing this back around, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have to pull this up on the other screen. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so this question coming out from Fergal, who says, hey, Mason, kind of desperate and need help with start sits. Miller or Ford? We're going to be going with Ford. Kirk or Gabe Davis? We're going to be going Christian Kirk with no Zay Jones. Puka, Watson, Amari, Mike Williams. We'll be going with Puka and Mike Williams. Puka's going to be a must-start wide receiver any week that Cooper Kupp does not play. And then on top of that, my man, I mean, Mike Williams looks like he should have a considerable amount of target volume with no Austin Eckler in this offense. But Boyd coming out says, happy BR, Rashad or Breece Hall. Waddle's out, so my wide receivers are MT, Addison, London. We picked Kelsey round 1, need points, but is there any upside with Breece? Now, please go ahead and play Rashad White. No, please play Rashad White over Breece. Fundamentally, right now, Breece is in the worst offense in the NFL, and he's splitting the backfield 3 ways. Now, Bad Ape says, Hopkins, Christian Watson, or Reed, what order if all healthy? We'll be going Watson, Hopkins, then Jaden Reed, assuming all healthy. Now, Benny says, 10-team full BBR. We lost J.K. Chubb and Jamal. Oh my gosh, my man. We have Burrow, Chase, Amari, James Conner, Edwards, Goddard, Addison, Algier. On the bench, we have Dak, Tutu, Evan Ingram, Devon A-Chain, John Dotson, Tank Dell. Starts in the flex, and then trade ideas to upgrade running back. I wouldn't inherently have any trades I want to be making right now. I mean, obviously, it's going to be hard making trades over the next, just pretty much tonight before the games get kicked off. All I'll say is if you lose J.K. Chubb and Jamal and we are desperate at RB, you can't be rostering this many wide receivers. Like right now, you have Tank Dell, John Dotson, Tutu Atwell, Dak, Evan Ingram all on the bench. So we only have one RB down on the bench. So I think we keep this as is when it comes to the starting lineup. The only thing I'd say is let's go ahead and let's move on from some of these wide receivers down on the bench. Like if we can trade John Dotson and James Conner for any slight running back upgrade, open up another roster spot and bring in another running back, I think that'd make a lot of sense. Now, Jay Carlos says 10-team BBR double flex. We have Swift, Moss, Godwin, and DeAndre Hopkins. We're going to go with both running backs, my man. We're going to go Moss and Swift. Margot says, have BBR pick 2, Sanders, Brian Robinson, or Jordan Addison. We're going to go with the running backs. We're going to go Brian Robinson and Miles Sanders. Harsh Patel coming out says, I'm 0-2. Just got a trade offer in a full BBR format. He wants Pollard and Hopkins for Eckler and Ridley. In the long run, can I say I fleeced this guy? It depends the health of Eckler. If Eckler were to be back this next week, then of course, we'd rather have Eckler and Ridley than Pollard and Hopkins. Now, at the same time, it is very difficult to say that's going to happen. So if you are confident in the health of Austin Eckler, you can go ahead and you can do it. But Eckler really hasn't practiced at all. Eckler may miss he may miss the next 2 weeks. He maybe miss the next 3. We don't know. Now, David coming out saying, 8-team PBR format. We have Fields, Love, Pollard, Madison, Kelly, Olave, AJ, Hawkinson, Pitts. And then on the bench, we have Barkley, Carr, Lockett, Ayuk, Ford, Hunt, JT. Trades or lineup changes. We start 2 QBs. If down on the bench, we have this much depth at wide receiver and running back, once we get JT and Barkley back in, I would love to take a running back such as Jonathan Taylor or Saquon Barkley, really whoever it is, and go send him with a quarterback to get an upgrade and get an elite level quarterback, preferably sending away Jordan Love. I really like Love the player. I mean, hell, this is someone that I took in a lot of best ball leagues, while at the same time, I have a ton of Christian Watson, so I really hope he does well. But he doesn't have a ton of rushing upside. It's not like he's an elite guy in fantasy. Chief Perp says we have Chase and Ridley. If Burrow doesn't play, should we put in Myers, Christian Watson for Chase, or just run Chase? Just run Chase, my man. Chase is going to be great no matter what. I don't say great no matter what. He'll be better than those guys no matter what. Now, Michael says traded Raheem Mostert and Rashad White for Gibbs. What are your thoughts? Short term, it's going to look bad. Long term, I think it's going to look great. Mr. Shock says, hey, Mason, you've won me 300 so far this year. Hell yes, my man. Should I start Zach Moss or Brian Robinson Jr. at running back? This week in particular, with the really tough matchup that you have for Brian Robinson Jr. going up against, a really good Buffalo rush defense, we're probably going to take Zach Moss, who's getting every single snap, my man. Now, Dylan says, hey there, love the content. Trade Wilson, Ayuk, and Etienne for Kupp and Josh Jacobs. Etienne to Jacobs caught a lateral move. I'd slightly prefer Etienne. Wilson and Ayuk for Cooper Kupp. Really going to be dependent on what you have. Gosh. Going to be dependent on what you have with the timeline of your team and over the overall depth as well. If you don't need those wide receivers and we can afford the long-term upside weight on Kupp, then go for it. Now, Manoa says, waddle out. Who's in the flex? London, Warren, Reed, Laporta, Miller, JSN. Also, long-term thoughts on Warren Miller. You're the best. I appreciate you. I think fundamentally, Jalen Warren's a running back we can start if we get super desperate. really is just a premium handcuff back if Najee were to miss time, at least how it stands right now. Miller's going to be really exciting to see his role this week. Obviously, it's hard to know exactly what we're going to have. I definitely think he's someone worth rostering, even if Kamara comes back next week because Jamal's on the IR. We're definitely going to be going with Drake London here, my friend. We're going to go London, though. Bid Mood coming out says, need to start 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. Jacobs, Connor, Kyron, and Mostert. Our 2 running backs here are most likely going to be Josh Jacobs and Raheem Mostert. 3 wide receivers between Chase Evans, DK Smith. We're going to go Chase Evans and Smith. And then our flex, we are going to go ahead and we're going to play Kyron Williams. So yeah, we'll play 3 running backs there. Really the only guy that we're going to be looking to bench is going to be DK Metcalf. Now, Lord Vader coming out says, got offered Calvin Ridley and Breece Hall for ETN and Nico Collins. Ooh. My running backs are Bijan Jacobs, ETN, James Cook. Okay, so we have the running back depth. So we're definitely stronger at running back than receiver, one of the very rare teams. I actually think you can do this if you want to. I think that ETN versus Ridley, I probably prefer ETN, but it's not that far off. I'd probably rather add Breece over Nico Collins. Up to you. I think that's a very fair deal. Now, Yurbo says full BBR Madison or Gus Edwards. We're going to be going Alexander Madison in a high-scoring game. Other league, full BBR Sanders or Rachaad White. Thanks. So thank you, my friend. Full BBR format, we will go Rachaad White. I mean, he is a running back that's just getting every snap, and now he should have an expanded receiving role with no admins. Nick says 0-2 in a 10-team PBR league. We have Hurts, Gibbs, Connor, Chase, Brown, Kamara, Richardson, Addison, Christian Watson, Ford, JT. Any advice on how to save the season? So if we're 0-2 right now, I mean, our sights shouldn't be on long-term upside. Our sights should be on how do we win right away. And I think what we can look to do is take some of these rookies, take some of these long-term pieces, such as Anthony Richardson, such as Jordan Addison, and see if we can send them in a package in the starting lineup to go get an upgrade for the short term. So if you could take, say, Anthony Richardson and James Conner and go get a running back like Travis Etienne, go get a running back like Joe Mixon that we do like a little bit more in the short term, I think that would make a lot of sense, especially if we have Jalen Hurts, where fundamentally Anthony Richardson's probably not going to make a difference for us. Zachary says we traded Puka Connor for St. Brown. Interesting deal. I don't mind the idea of it whatsoever. Just based off of what I've seen from some of the other trades regarding Puka Nacua, I've seen some people trading Puka straight up for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, of course, does that mean we shouldn't have gone through and taken a good value where we had it? I don't know, but I like it, my friend. I like it. Now, Katut says, hey, Mason, just traded Devonta Smith and Kenneth Walker for Tyreek. My wide receiver combos are now Chase, Hill, and Lamb. I was going to say it really depends on your team, but if you're telling me that we have Chase, Hill, and Lamb at wide receiver, I'm going to assume that this is an extremely shallow format. I'm assuming that this is an 8-team league, at the very most a 10-team league, where there I do like it, my man. There I do like it. Now, Peppa Pig says, sup, Mason, start 1, Frymuth, Taysom, or Zach Ertz. Full BBR format, I think we're going to go Zach Ertz for the target volume. Non-PBR league, I think you can go with Taysom Hill for the rushing upside. I mean, the touchdown upside. Swank says 10-team full BBR, Henry or Njoku at tight ends. I mean, it pains me to say, but we are going to go Hunter Henry. And this coming from someone who has a lot of David Njoku. Now, Forum says traded Lamb, Kirk, Herbert for Richardson, Jones, and Amon-Ra. So Lamb to Amon-Ra St. Brown, slight downgrade. Say Justin Herbert for Anthony Richardson, slight downgrade. Christian Kirk to Aaron Jones, definite upgrade. We have Chubb. We had Chubb. We have Love, Stevenson, Avonta, Watson, Dillon, Roshan, Hurst, Frymuth in a 12-team full BBR format. If that's Justin Herbert, I want the CeeDee Lamb side. If that is Khalil Herbert, I'm fine with the deal. But RW says 0-2, 12-team BBR format, where we have Burrow, Love, Moss, Ford, Kamara, Breece, Najee, Breida, Taylor, Debo, Chase, Hopkins, Myers, Dell. Who are we starting? Trying to trade Breece, Ford, Najee. No luck. Yeah, my man, I don't necessarily think you're going to get anything for him now. I think the week to trade away Brees Hall was last week. I mean, we have at least Zach Moss and Najee to start this week until we get JT and Kamara back long term. So we're going to be starting Burrow, then most likely, assuming we did not already start Breida, we're going to go Zach Moss and Najee Harris. Wide receiver, we're going to be going Debo, Chase. Flex, we are most likely going to be going DeAndre Hopkins. And I think this team just has to get by one more week. Please make sure we have another quarterback where we don't have to rely on Burrow this week. If we can get by for one more week and then get back Kamara and then another week get back JT, we'll be in a very comfortable position. Chris says we have Jefferson, St. Brown, Keenan, McLaurin at receiver. We have Jacobs, Mostert, Madison, Algier, Dillon at running back. We traded Puka and Ford for Ramondre Stevenson. What are your thoughts? I'm okay with it. I just feel like maybe we could have squeezed a little more value. I don't know. Maybe my brain's broken from seeing what everybody's able to go through and trade for Puka. You definitely would prefer Ramondre in a full PPR format than a non-PPR league. Now, Zeus says 0-2 in a non-PPR league. Team is Mahomes, Wilson, Thielen, Mixon, Brian Robinson, Kelsey, Flowers, Hopkins, Ayuk, Zay, Reynolds, Hunt, Taysom. Thinking of trading Kelsey to make upgrades. No, you should not do that, my man. You do not want to be going through and trading Travis Kelsey away in a non-PPR format. If we have the Kelsey Mahomes stack, you're in a very good position. The issue is this is a non-PPR format where we are rostering Garrett Wilson, Adam Thielen, Zay Flowers, DeAndre Hopkins, Brandon Ayuk, Zay Jones, Josh Reynolds, and Taysom Hill. We're rostering 7 wide receivers, a backup tight ends, whereas in a non-PPR format where running backs king, we have Mixon, Brian Robinson, Kareem Hunt. 3 running backs. You need to drop some of these wide receivers on the bottom end of your roster, my man. Drop the backup tight ends. Go pick up some more running backs. That way we can be the next person to find Kyron Williams. Next person to find Joshua Kelly. Next person to find Jerome Ford. Now, Zag of Trade says quarterback is Burrow. We're stacked up with Chase. Pick up Stafford off the waiver wire and play him if Joe doesn't play, or should we play Justin Fields? I think he's going to start running more. I think Fields going to run more as well. I think you just play Justin Fields today. If it's a 6-point passing touchdown format, then maybe you convince yourself going in Stafford's direction. But I mean, if you look at the Underdog Pick'em this week, you actually have 60 rushing yards for the Underdog Pick'em on Justin Fields. IM says full PPR for the flex. We're going to go James Cook, Joshua Kelly, or Nico Collins. We're going to go with, oh my gosh, definitely one of the running backs. We can go James Cook in a full PPR format, probably Joshua Kelly in a non-PPR league. Really like both RBs this week. Torres says Mike Williams or Kelly at the flex in a full PPR format. Non-PPR, give me Kelly. Full PPR, give me Williams. But, Franz says, which running back would you rather start? Rashad White or Brian Robinson? Thanks, Mason. Loving the flock. Appreciate you, my friend. I really like both these RBs. And if you look at our flex rankings this week, you'll see that these guys are pretty damn close together. They are in the same tier. I am going to go ahead. I'm going to take Rashad White in a full PPR format where I'm a little bit more confident with his target volume. Aaron says, happy BR, Kyle Pitts or Jake Ferguson. I'm an idiot, so I'm going to be taking Kyle Pitts and giving him one more shot. Also, have PBR pick 3. Higgins, DK, Evans, Javonte. We're going to be going with Evans, Higgins, DK. We'll give Javonte one more week. Unless Burrow's ruled out, then we can pivot from Higgins to Javonte. And then Cleveland or Seattle's defense. My man, I really would like to go and play a defense going up against just Ryan Tannehill, a horrible offense overall. I would also like to play a defense going up against, Andy Dalton. So I think you're fine with either. I probably go the Seattle defense because they are heavy favorites. Now, Mateo says, 10-team happy BR league. We have Kirk, Diggs, Olave, CMC, Ramondre, Goddard, Keenan. On the bench, we have Najee, Gabe, Drake, Pitts, Gainwell, Swift. Any thoughts and traits? So we have some great wide receivers. We have great running backs as well. I mean, if we could afford a move where we get an elite level quarterback by going like Kirk Cousins and Najee Harris to go get a top 4 option at QB, really that's the only thing that a team like this can do. I mean, you're in a great spot here, my friend. Now, Real quick, we are 2 likes away from hitting 400 likes on the stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. We are closing in on 200,000 subscribers. And also, if you want to check out any of these pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat, find it in the description, find it in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK on Underdog is going to give you a 100% deposit match up to $500 onto accounts. Plus, you're going to be getting our rest of season fantasy football rankings, a Lamar Jackson special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard for the games tomorrow morning. And then also, please, if you're on Underdog, make sure you're including the Tyreek Hill total yards in your pick'em slip this week, because they are going to be giving away $10,000 to 10 separate people who do so. And we actually had a couple of members of the flock winning that this past week. But Virtual Spider says, full BBR, start 2 receivers, 2 running backs, 2 flex. Should we start Mike Williams, Miles Sanders, TJ Hawkinson, or Jordan Addison in the flex? We're going to go Mike Evans and Miles Sanders. Love Hawkinson, but honestly, if we have like Hawkinson and Kelsey, we shouldn't be playing Hawkinson in the flex. We should go through and sell Hawkinson. Max says, should I start Zay or Nico? I'm going to go Nico in a matchup where they are going to be in garbage time, and Zay Flowers is going to have to deal with Mark Andrews taking target volume as well. Now, Joey says, hey, Mace, 10-team full BBR format, 1 flex. Who do we start? We have Lawrence, Swift, Mostert, Diggs, Puka, Andrews, Ridley, AJ, Brees, Dalvin. Feel guilty leaving Puka and Swift on the bench last week. We lost by half a point. What do we do? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to start Lawrence, Mostert, Swift, Diggs, Puka. Actually, I don't know if we can get Puka in here. I personally would probably go Calvin Ridley and AJ Brown over Puka. The pick'em that you have with Puka on Underdog this week is 63.5 receiving yards. If you're looking at AJ Brown, AJ Brown is currently sitting at about 68.5 receiving yards. If you go over there and look at what you have from Calvin Ridley, if I can find Ridley here. You have Ridley at 69.5 receiving yards. So if you look at our rankings, our rankings will have AJ Brown, Calvin Ridley ahead of him. The Underdog pick'ems kind of agree with that as well. It sucks. Obviously, Puka Nacua is a phenomenal wide receiver, but we've seen AJ Brown, Calvin Ridley, and Stephon Diggs be elite for years, whereas Puka is dealing with an oblique injury, plus we've seen the sample size of 2 weeks compared to years for those other guys. Dylan says, should I trade Addison and Kyron Williams for Saquon and Kmet? Ooh. Kmet's nothing. We have Javonte, Gibbs, Fields. I'm good at receiver. If we can make this move after this week where we're able to use the Kyron Williams points in our starting lineup right now, then yes. If we can wait a week and then do this, I would like to. Okay. Now, Jeremiah says, Horns just scored. Hook 'em. You better believe we are watching the game. Hook 'em Horns, my man. Hook 'em Horns. Now, Dylan says, PBR is starting Connor Warren. On the bench, we have Edwards or Dylan. We're going to go Dylan if you have no Aaron Jones. If Aaron Jones does play, we're going to go Gus Edwards. Wide receiver starting, we have Smith, Evans, Flex, Amari. And then on the bench, we have DJ, Hollywood, I think we keep it. Actually, no. I think we bench Jalen Warren if Aaron Jones sits. If Aaron Jones sits, I would rather have both Gus Edwards and A.J. Dillon over Jalen Warren. Kraft says, 12-team, half PBR, super flex. We're currently 2-0. We have Wilson, P. Ryan, Kyron, Tyreek, Elijah, Williams, Higgins, Goddard, Minshew. And then on the bench, we have Latavius, Rice, Reynolds, Freiermuth, Eckler. Should we make any trades or change anything with the lineup? We're keeping the lineup as is. The only thing I would say is if we're looking at how we're constructing the bottom end of this bench, I definitely would prefer dropping Rashee Rice and picking up a running back that has upside. I mean, these depth wide receivers in KC, very difficult to get excited about them. Whenever you have like 15 skill positional players on a week-to-week perspective touching the ball in this Kansas City Chiefs offense, I think I would look to move on from Rashee Rice and see if we can find a running back with upside off the waiver wire. Victor says, 12-team at PBR. Do we start Stroud or a banged-up Burrow if he plays? If we know for sure that Burrow's playing, I would rather play a banged-up Burrow over CJ Stroud. And then do we start at RB2 between Hall, Javonte, and Jerome Ford? I'm going to be going with Javonte Williams here, my man. Ford, a really tough matchup, and you don't know if he's going to split with Hunt. Breece Hall's in a 3-man RB by committee. Now, Freddie says 10-team PPR, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and 2 flexes. We have Fields, Love, Gibbs, Walker, Charbonnet, Javonte, Kyron, Roschon, Adams, Wilson, London, Tank, Dotson, and Travis Kelce. We're going to be starting Fields at quarterback. Running back, we're going to start Walker and Gibbs. Wide receiver, we're going to be starting Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson. And then for the flex, we're going to go ahead and we're going to play Kyron Williams and Javonte Williams, my friend. And then obviously we play Kelce tight end. Now, Tyler coming out says 12-team at PBR Dynasty. Got offered Higgins and Javonte for Jamar Chase. You definitely want Jamar Chase here, my man. I don't care who our running backs are. Honestly, if you're hurting at RB, sucks to suck. It's Dynasty. If you trade away Jamar Chase for T. Higgins and Javonte Williams, you are going to be regretting it so damn much this next offseason. Don't make a horrible long-term Dynasty move to fill in a short-term team need. Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to stack no matter what. Please keep Jamar Chase, my friend. Keep Chase. Okay. Now, our next question, we are actually going to have to pull up on the other screen here. So give me 1 second to do just that. And as I do that, let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not hit that like button yet, please go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. We're going to be live streaming every single day until 2024. We have not missed a day in 148 days in a row at this point. And of course, if you want to see any of these pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, and find that link in the live chat, find it in the description, find it in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, they'll match first deposit dollar for dollar up to up to $500 on new accounts with promo code FLOCK. Plus, you'll be getting our rest of season rankings, a Lamar Jackson special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard. And, ladies and gentlemen, Underdog's giving away $10,000 to 10 separate people, include a Tyreek Hill pick'em this weekend. So please make sure you do just that. But our next question coming out from Ken. Ken here is saying, pick 1 for wide receiver and 1 for the flex. I believe that's what this exact question is saying. I could be wrong, but we're looking at London, Judy, or Tyler Lockett. I'm going to rank them Lockett, then Judy, then Drake London. Essentially opposite order of what we have him. Actually, I kind of want to go Judy over Lockett. Going to be close between Judy and Lockett for me. I'll give Lockett 1 more week, and then I think long-term we're still preferring Judy. Now, Joe says 10-team PPR format where we're 1-1. We have Tua, Cook, Ford, Adams, DK Waller, Sutton, Dillon, Roschon, Gainwell, Hollywood, Watson, Ertz, Kupp, Adams and Sutton for Tony Pollard, or other running back trade ideas. I actually really do like the Tony Pollard deal here, my man. I mean, Sutton is a non-factor. I mean, it's going to cost you a premium to go out and trade for a running back right now. I think it's a very fair price point. Now, Curley says St. Brown, Najee for Waddle, Kamara. What are you thinking? I think it's a fair deal where if you were 2-0 and you're just thinking long-term, I would understand why you would want the Waddle Kamara side. Matt says for the flex, we're going to go Cook, Collins, or Addison. Or Amari, Flowers, Pickens. We're going to be going James Cook here, my man. If that's Dalvin Cook, then instead we probably pivot over to Amari Cooper. William says, should I start Hopkins, Gabe Davis, Judy, or Hollywood Brown? I think we're going to go ahead. We will play Jerry Judy here, my man. I expect him to be in a better spot now that he's a week further removed from the hamstring injury. Jero says, hey, Mason, for the flex, we're going to go Osborne or Reed. We're going to keep this super simple. If Christian Watson plays, we go KJ Osborne. If Christian Watson misses, we go Jaden Reed. Now, Kenneke says 1-1, 10-team half PPR format where we have Hurts, Higgins, Puka, Henry, Walker, Kelce, Metcalf. Any changes? So, I mean, if we're going to be on the bench, I'd say Tyler Algier is probably the guy that's most excited to get into this lineup. Whereas if we're going to be looking at these guys, no, I don't think we can be excited about making any swap here. I think that, honestly, you have the starting lineup as is and really hope that we end up getting Jalen Waddle back soon. And now Billy coming out says, traded Sanders Flowers for Burrow and London. London or Mike Williams for the flex start. We're definitely going to go Mike Williams. Won 4 out of 5 of my leagues with your tips last year. My man, an 80% win rate is way higher than what I have. So, I mean, that is all you. That is not on me. That is awesome, my man. Congrats. I mean, here, definitely go ahead and play Mike Williams over Drake London with no Eckler. And then I think the move is understandable if we are looking for long-term upside at quarterback and don't necessarily expect anything in the short term. Now, Ty says, aloha, Mason. PBR, we need 3 wide receivers or running back, 2 flexes. We have Higgins, Puka, Evans, Brian Robinson, Diggs, Lamb, Flowers, Pacheco, Sanders, Elijah, Zeke, JSN, also Dak or Fields. 6-point passing touchdown format, we're going to go Dak. 4-point passing touchdown format, we're going to go Fields. Our 3 wide receivers are going to be CeeDee Lamb, Stephon Diggs, and Puka Nacua. Our running back will be Brian Robinson. And then our 2 flex will be T. Higgins and Miles Sanders, my friend. Now, the Dark Knight says flex 1, London, Hopkins, Kelly, Judy, or Javonte. We're going to go Joshua Kelly. Joshua Kelly is a must-start running back at this point. Now, Ryan says sit 1, Breece, Addison, or Drake London. Full PBR format, I'd probably sit Breece. Non-PBR league, I'd probably sit Addison. All-Star Day says, half PBR, do I trade Cooper Kupp and Kyren Williams for Taylor and Jerome Ford? Probably not. No, we're not doing this. We have A.J. Brown and Waddle, but we need some running back help. I mean, my man, you have Kyren Williams. You're trading away the only starting running back that we have right now. Kyren Williams, we know, is getting every single touch in this backfield. Whereas if you go ahead and look at what you're getting with Jerome Ford, we just have no idea. I mean, if we see Ford dominate with touches in Cleveland, then sure, we can do it afterwards. Gucci Brimstick says, what's poppin', Mason? We got 2 questions for you. Nico or Addison? I think we're going to go Nico this week, Addison long-term. Cousins or Fields? Ooh, oh my gosh. Probably Cousins. And then love the content for a long time. Hope you keep up the good work. No, thank you so much. I know you've been with us forever, my man. Really, really do appreciate you. But we're backed up on Super Chats just a bit, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn them off. And I'll turn them back on once we get through a bunch of questions here. I just don't want to make anybody coming into the live stream wait too long to get their question answered. Now, Taylor says, traded Amon-Ra for Jamar Chase. I really like it. Starting to regret it after seeing Mixon taking reps at quarterback. What? But Jefferson and Chase can't be bad. No, they can't be bad. Great long-term move, my man. Really like it. Okay. Now, our next question coming out from Peter says, would you trade Pollard for Kyren Williams and James Cook? No, I would not. The only instance I would do this is if it was like a 14-team, 16-team league where depth was going to matter a lot more. But keep Tony Pollard here. Ethan says 10-team full BBR format where we have Goff, Jacobs, Ford, Wilson, AJ, Hawkinson, Pickens, Burrow, Moss, Pacheco, Bourne, McLaurin, Swift, Edwards, Eckler. Thoughts and any changes? I think it's a great team. I think we're going to be starting Goff. We're going to be starting Jacobs and then Zach Moss. Do not play Jerome Ford over Zach Moss. You definitely want Moss in there. Wide receiver, we're going to go AJ Wilson. And then the flex in a full PPR format, we're going to be a little more inclined to go with that wide receiver. So I do think that we're going to go George Pickens. If you wanted to make a call, you could pivot over to either Ford or Edwards. But our next question coming out from Roble says, start 2 full BBR, Kyren, Zach Moss, or DeAndre Swift. Full BBR format, we're going to go Kyren Williams and DeAndre Swift. Tanner says, really appreciate you. No, thank you, my man. Rough start, 0-2 at BBR. 3 wide receivers, 1 flex. We have Lamar, Tua, Jacobs, Dillon, Warren, Roshan, Diggs, Ridley, Ayuk, Puka, Godwin, Elijah, Mingo. Trying to trade Puka, no luck. Any recommendations? I'm sorry, trying to trade Tua. So the thing is, if you trade Tua, you're not really going to be able to successfully trade him straight up. Typically, what you're going to have to do if you're trading away one of these bench pieces is you're going to have to package him with another name that people are excited about that we don't necessarily need right now. Now, specifically because this is a league where we need to start 3 wide receivers on a week-to-week perspective, Going to be a little bit less inclined to sell wide receiver depth. But I mean, ultimately, if Puka's our wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 here, I think what we probably look to do is wait one more week because we're going to need that wide receiver depth until Brandon Ayuk is back and healthy. And then if we have Ayuk back and healthy this next week, then we can look to go ahead and potentially take one of these wide receivers with Tua and then go get the upgrade going into week 4, my friend. Now, Mark says, traded away Higgins and James Conner for Stephon Diggs. Great move. Should I trade away Nico and Cam Akers for Jonathan Taylor? Hell yes. Big fan of the show. 2-0 right now. That is awesome, my man. Love both trades, especially if you're 2-0. You can go out there and you can afford to get Jonathan Taylor. Honestly, even if you're 0-2, I think that's such a good price point, I would. But Chum's Pokemon coming out says, would you move on from anyone? 10-team full BBR. We have Etienne, Ford, Hill, Puka, Ingram, Pollard, Pierce, Ayuk, Algier, Kincaid, Atwell, Johnston. I don't think we do this right now. I mean, because if we are looking at this team currently, we don't have the Kincaid breakout at the moment. We have Ayuk banged up. We have, a little bit of uncertainty with Jerome Ford. If you could find someone that thinks Jerome Ford's going to be, no matter what, the starting running back in Cleveland, and he's not going to be in a committee, and we can get some fantastic price point on Ford, I'd look to go ahead and do that. In reality, I think it's a very well-balanced team where I don't necessarily think we have to do anything. I think you're in a good spot, my friend. Now, Lucky Ace says, full BBR where we need to start 2. We have Madison, Stevenson, Robinson, and Pittman. We're going to go ahead. We're going to play Ramondre Stevenson and Alexander Madison. I would have said Brian Robinson if Cam Akers was active. But with no Cam Akers, I think we are a little bit more inclined to go through and start Alexander Madison in what should be the highest scoring game of the week. Now, 99 TMR says, 12-team double flex PBR. We have White, Kyron, Chase, Smith, Ertz, Najee, Moore. And then on the bench, we have Dylan, JSN, Elijah, Dell, Sutton. Any moves? We got offered Gibbs and Addison or Javonte for Waddle and Waddle. Okay, Gibbs and Addison for Chase. We're taking Chase. Javonte and Waddle for Chase. We're taking Chase. Double flex, 12-team league. It's a little bit closer. I still think we do want the best player here, my man. This is a great team overall. The only thing I'd say is if Aaron Jones were to miss this week, let's please make sure that we're going to go ahead and start A.J. Dillon over Moore in that flex. And I think that Jamar Chase, if we get a healthy Burrow, will be much, much better soon. Grind Time says 12-team BBR where we have Mixon, Gainwell, Godwin, Flowers, Kelsey, Nico. On the bench, we have Hollywood, Deontay, Zay, Cooks. We lost Dobbins. Any tips on trades for running backs? Thanks. So thank you, my friend. Definitely need to go through and make a deal for an RB here. I would say if we can't find a price point that we like by tonight, what you really want to do is just change this bench. If you lose one of those RBs and we're limited at running back, but we have great wide receivers at the very top, we just can't be rostering this many wide receivers and this few of running backs. So no matter what, I think we want to be dropping some of these wide receivers down on the bench and seeing if we can pick up some running backs that are maybe an injury away to being the next Kyron Williams. But if you really wanted to go through and make a move right now, possibly if we could take like Nico and Gainwell and just, if you can send like Nico and Gainwell and just go get like Zach Moss, just go get a running back that may have a role over the next 2 weeks. That could be something we're looking to do. Yeah, but a great team. We just need to make sure we're changing the bottom end of the bench. Cheap Burp says, would you trade Kyron Williams for Puka? Very tough call. I think it's fundamentally up to your roster. If you are looking at Puka, I don't think he's a wide receiver 1 when Cooper Kupp comes back in. I think that he's usable as a flex play / wide receiver 2, where I think it looks like Kyron's a starting running back rest of season here. Alex says 12-team BBR double flex, where we have Richardson, Watson, Kyron, Sanders, Adams, Evans, Andrews, Cook, Mostert. And then on the bench, we have Javonte, Pickens, Flowers, Ayuk, Moore, Moss. Pickens, Zay, or Evans for tomorrow. We will go Mike Evans. Tomorrow, I do think that Evans comes back down to earth just a bit, but still going to be someone that we want to play. Tyler says London or Pittman. We're definitely going to go Michael Pittman here, my man. Mason says, first time in the chat, my boy. I watch daily. Hell yes. 0-2 PBR. We have Hurts, Walker, Sanders, Madison, Elijah, Charbonnet, Ferguson, Wilson, St. Brown, Collins, Dotson, Puka. Should I trade Garrett Wilson and Alexander? Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, if you can trade Garrett Wilson and Alexander Madison for Travis Kelce, almost regardless of your team, it makes sense, especially on a roster like this. I mean, hell, I would have done this move before Cam Akers got sent to Minnesota, but now that Akers is in Minnesota, it's an absolute no-brainer. Merrick says Superflex Dynasty. Mahomes, Cousins, McCaffrey, Ramondre, Kyron, Tyreek, Kupp, Waddle, Kelce. Can get Fields or Jacobs or keep picks for now. It depends on the cost, of course. I would say typically you are going to be looking at rookie picks with the lowest value in late September in your dynasty leagues. Everybody thinks that they're a contender when it's late September. Once we get to, I would say about mid-October, that's when we can really start cherry picking some of those contending pieces from the rebuilding rosters. Dylan coming out saying 10-team PPR double flex, where we have Pollard, Eckler, Aaron Jones, Mixon, Diggs, Ridley, AJ Brown. Should I trade for a quarterback? We have Watson at QB and can't play everyone anyway. Yes. I mean, double flex league, I'm a little bit less inclined to go out there and pay up for the elite level quarterback, but especially in a 10-team format where if we really needed a running back, we really needed a wide receiver, there will be viable options off the waiver wire. We need to go ahead and we need to make that move. Now, Ty, always happy to see you. My man says, back again, need 3 wide receivers in a PPR format. We have Devonta, Addison, Puka, JSN, Tank Dell, Jacoby, Michael Thomas. Earlier this week, I traded Brees, Christian Watson, Garrett Wilson to get Saquon and Devonta Smith. We got Kyron Williams off the waiver. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Going from Christian Watson and Garrett Wilson to Devonta Smith, massive upgrade. Going from Brees to Saquon Barkley, massive upgrade. Phenomenal team, phenomenal move on the waiver wire, phenomenal trade. I mean, this trade would have been still good. I mean, this trade would have probably looked good even when Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback of the Jets and not Zach Wilson. Awesome. Not a sports guy. Hook'em horns, my man. Yes, we are out here crushing Baylor right now. Need a quarterback, wide receiver, and a flex between Geno and Love. Probably going to go Geno. Lockett, Zay, Myers, and Brian Robinson. Wide receiver, we're going to go Lockett, and in the flex spot, we are going to go Brian Robinson. Now, Edwin says Burrow, Henry, James Cook, Hill, AJ Brown, Olave, Hawkinson. And then on the bench, we have Cousins, Richardson, Brees, Myers, Kincaid, Flowers, Mostert. Should we swap Burrow for Cousins? And who's my RB2? It's a 10-team PPR, 1 flex, 2 running backs, and 2 wide receivers. Okay. Play Cousins over Burrow. And your running back is going to be James Cook and Raheem Mostert, my man. James Cook and Raheem Mostert. I will say once Burrow and Richardson are healthy, then let's please make sure we're not rostering 3 QBs on this team. Okay, now Jake says Pickens, Flowers, or Reynolds for this flex. We're definitely going to go Pickens, no Deontay Johnson, my man. Isaac says Miller or McKinnon. Interesting if Pacheco were to be missing. I think we're probably going to go Miller regardless. Now, Matthias says, have BBR pick 2, DJ, London, Gabe. We're to go with, oh my gosh. We'll probably go with the first 2. And then Kincaid or Luke. We're going to go Kincaid, especially if Christian Watson's going to be back this week. Hash Sling and Slasher out here saying, hey, Mason, working hard as always. I need to start 2. Hopkins, London, Reed, Dotson, Hollywood, Devontae Parker. Thanks. So thank you, my man, for always coming out. I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to go London and Hopkins now that Hopkins is good to go. I would have been much more concerned about DeAndre Hopkins if this was a situation where he was a game time decision. I mean, we really didn't know what his health was, but for Hopkins to get cleared this early on in the process, I have a little bit more faith in DeAndre Hopkins here. Cole says Kirk or Swift in the flex. We're going to go Swift over Kirk. Angel says Madison or Hunt rest of season. Ooh, tough call. Really, I think it's personal preference, up to you. I mean, I have so much Kareem Hunt. I spent more money drafting Kareem Hunt in underdog drafts this year in rounds 17 and 18. So like the last 2 rounds than any other player at the running back position. So, I mean, I'm very biased that I want Hunt to be the guy, but In reality, I think both are going to be an RB by committees. Now, Ricardo coming out says Saquon, Kyron, A.J. Brown, Ayuk, Dawson, Pierce. On the bench, we have Najee, Zay Flowers, Roshan, Judy, Taylor. Traded Najee for Kittle. Great move. Jefferson and Kupp next. A.J. Brown, Pierce as a package. What are your thoughts? May I, Judy? Oh, hell, if we can send A.J. Brown and Dameon Pierce and get Justin Jefferson and Cooper Kupp, feel free to add Jerry Judy. That'd be a no-brainer. I have no idea why the hell they're giving you that, my man. Now, Divine Reality says, who to start at the flex? Swift, London, or Christian Kirk? We are going to go ahead. We will take DeAndre Swift, my friend. Ron says Higgins, Waddle, Amon-Ra, Adams, Kirk, James Cook, Ford, Dillon, Roshan, Khalil, Kelly, Madison, Waller. We need 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. This is a half point per carry, ladies and gentlemen. Half point per carry. You are way more inclined to put a running back in the flex spot. We're going to be going with Adams and Amon-Ra St. Brown at wide receiver. Running back, we're going to be going James Cook and Joshua Kelly. For the flex, we're going to be going with A.J. Dillon if Aaron Jones were to miss. And if Aaron Jones were to play, we're going to go Khalil Herbert. Actually, no, I'm sorry. We're going to go Alexander Madison. I'm an idiot. We're going to go James Cook, Kelly, and Alexander Madison with no Akers. But yeah, half point per carry. You need to be going through and playing a running back in that flex spot every single week. But we are 2 likes away from hitting 600 likes on this live stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the stream, help us hit 600. And of course, if you want to check out any of these pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, and find that link in the live chat, find it in the description, find it in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to get a 100% deposit match up to $500 if you are new on Underdog. Plus, you're going to be getting a Lamar Jackson special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard. And also, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be giving away $10,000 on Underdog every single week to 10 different people. This week to enter, you have to include the Tyreek Hill special pick'em, more than less than for his total yards. There were a couple of members of the flock that actually won that last week. But Duran says, me from earlier, we have Burrow, Diggs, Higgins, Jacobs, Moss, Andrews, Puka. Forgot to add that we have Zay on the bench. Without Burrow, is Zay worth the start? Also, is Puka worth me trading for ETN next week? If you're telling me we can get Puka's points in this week, trade for ETN next week before Kupp comes back, I would love that, my friend. And then if we are looking at Zay versus Higgins with no Burrow, really is going to be up to you. I mean, I would still probably go T. Higgins, but also I am an idiot. But our next question coming out from, I believe, Mitch says, trade away Hawkins and Puka for Kelsey. I personally would, but I'm an idiot. Now, Sean coming out says 12-team PPR format where we have Herbert, Gibbs, Gus, Godwin, Jefferson, Kittle, Pickens. And then on the bench, we have Barkley, Terry, JSN, Davis, Charbonnet, Nico, Hunt. Free agents are Gainwell, Miller, Spears, A-Chain, Tony Jones, Dotson. Need running back help. What are your thoughts? I think if we can go through and possibly make a 2-for-1 deal where we send, say, Nico Collins and Terry McLaurin and get a wide receiver that we're a little bit more excited about in the long term, open up a roster spot that way where we can go pick up Condre Miller off the waiver wire. I think I'd really like that. I mean, these running backs are good enough to be on your roster, my man. Now, today's full says 12-team full PPR double flex. Hopkins, Edwards, Pierce, Zay. We're going to be starting Hopkins and Gus Edwards with no Justice Hill in here. Now, Saram says 0-2 12-team PPR shallow league. We have Hurts, Hall, Javonte, Hunt, Gainwell, Elijah, Miller, A.J. Brown, Hopkins, JSN, Boyd, Gabe, Kelsey. Should I trade Hunt and Gainwell or Hunt and Gabe for Ramondre? And any other suggestions? Appreciate you, my man. I would go with either package for Ramondre Stevenson. I would probably prefer trading Hunt and Gainwell, though, as I do think that DeAndre Swift is just fully taken this starting job from him. Now, Pooh coming out says, Superflex, Sanders or Moore, and Pickett or Stroud. Ooh. I'm going to get Pickett. Oh, my. No, not without Deontay, we're going to go Stroud. And we will go Miles Sanders over DJ Moore. Now, Ty says, need 3 receivers or running back, 2 flex. Jefferson, Amari, Hollywood. Pollard, London, Woods, Dobbs, Pitts, Watson, Hunt, Aguilar, Parker. Allen is at quarterback. We're going to go Jefferson, Amari at wide receiver. For that last spot, If Christian Watson does play, I would play him over Hollywood Brown. I would play him over Drake London. If Christian Watson misses, I'm going to go Drake London. For running back, we're going to go Tony Pollard. And I guess for those two flex spots, we are going to end up going with Hollywood Brown and London regardless, even if Christian Watson plays. And I guess if Christian Watson doesn't, then at that point, we are going to be forced to pivot over and go Romeo Doubs if there is no Christian Watson. Theo says, have BBR pick 1. We have Algier, Brees, Sky, Roshan, and Shaheed. We're going to go ahead, have BBR format. We will play Tyler Algier. Now, Mark says, Devon Achane on the waiver wire. Should I drop John Dotson and pick up Devon? If you really wanted to, you can. I mean, the issue is, how viable is this back? I mean, if he's not hitting the field now, in 2 weeks when Jeff Wilson Jr. is back as well. Brian says, full BBR last flex spot I have. Cowboys defense. Who do I play? Thomas, James Conner, Swift, or Pacheco? Thank you and go, Pat. Go. No, appreciate you, my man. Last flex spot, I think we are going to go DeAndre Swift in a full PBR format. I think you make an argument that a lot of weeks you want to go James Conner here, but Conner going up against Dallas is obviously just such a tough matchup. Now, Chris says, hey, brother, love the content. Appreciate you, my man. Need some help with the starting lineup. 12-team full BBR. Waddle's out, so we need to fill in at the flex and someone at RB2. We have Moss, Kelly, Addison, Wood, Shaheed. We're definitely going to go with the 2 running backs. Please play Joshua Kelly. Joshua Kelly is a must-start back in a much better matchup this week. And we will be going Zach Moss. Well, both guys are getting every single touch. Now, Saram says 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, in a flex. Week 3, we have AJ, Hopkins, Gabe, Boyd, Hall, Javante, Hunt, Miller, Gainwell. Also, instead of getting your Madre, should I get Puka for Kareem Hunt? I would trade Hunt for either guy. If we can trade Hunt for Puka, let's do it. If we can trade Hunt for Ramondre, let's do it. If we look at this team in particular, I think this team probably needs running back more than it needs wide receiver. Our 2 wide receivers are going to be A.J. Brown, Hopkins. Our 2 running backs are going to be Javante and Miller. And then our flex is most likely going to be Gabe Davis. But John says Zach Moss, Javante, or Miles Sanders in a full PPR format. It's tough. I probably go Zach Moss as he legitimately saw 100% of the running back snaps this past week. I don't necessarily think he's some super talented player by any means, but if you're getting that kind of volume, it is really hard to stray away from that in fantasy. Now, Yo Vinny coming out says, happy BR where we're 1-1. We have Mahomes, Jefferson, McLaurin, Swift, Gibbs, Kelly, Gus, Waller, Ertz, Stafford, Pirine, Breida, Bourne, Osborne, Parker. Any moves? I don't see any trades we want to be making. All I'll say is if we have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, inherently we don't need to be rostering another QB, my man. So I would actually probably look to go ahead and actually cut Matthew Stafford and see if we can go through and pick up another running back off the waiver wire. It's maybe an injury away from actually moving the needle for you. Now, iShine says, subflock with Waddle out, we need some upside. We got to pick 1 in a full PBR 10-team league. We have Hollywood, Sutton, Dotson, Tank Dell, and Elijah Moore on the waiver wire. Who to drop if you want me to scoop up Elijah or Tank? I think we probably start Hollywood Brown. Now, Elijah Moore would be our pickup off the waiver wire, just given the ceiling that we've seen from him before. Hollywood Brown obviously is in a very tough matchup, but at least you have no Trayvon Diggs. So maybe the Arizona Cardinals have some hope moving the ball down the field. Okay. But I want to see if we have any more questions that we need to get to before we can turn Super Chats back on, ladies and gentlemen. Just give me 1 second to refresh this. And as I refresh it, please, if you have not done so already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, and find that link in the live chat, find it in the description, find it in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to get a 100% deposit match up to $100. Up to $500 with the new account on Underdog and promo code FLOCK. And also, you're going to be getting our rest of season rankings. You're going to be getting a Lamar Jackson special pickup, more than less than half a total yard. And, ladies and gentlemen, please include the Tua total yards pick'em, because Underdog's going to be giving away $10,000 to 10 separate people tomorrow. We actually had a few members of the flock get that $10,000 last week. But we have a few more super chats to answer before we turn these back on. They're going to be on the other windows, so let's get this up here. Next one coming out from Hernan says, 2 questions. We need to start 2 running backs in a flex in a full BBR format. We have Gibbs, Stevenson, White, Aaron Jones, Atwell. We traded Jordan Addison and James Conner for Waddle and JSN. Phenomenal trade there long-term. Our 2 running backs are going to be Gibbs, Stevenson, and then our flex is going to be Rachaad White. I don't really think we have to roll the dice with Aaron Jones, even if he does play here when we have these other RBs. Now, Aaron says, hey, Mason, 12-team full BBR where we're 1-1. 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers in a flex. We have Mahomes, Saquon, Walker, Waddle, Pittman, Godwin, Tutu, JSN, Pitts, Charbonnet, Sky. Should I trade Saquon for Brian Robinson and Gibbs? Or what package should we go for Gibbs? So specifically, if you're looking at the running backs that would be starting this week, we'd be going through and starting Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. It's a deeper league where depth's a little bit harder to come by. If you really wanted to go out there and trade Saquon Barkley, I'd be fine with it for this for this package, specifically because depth's going to matter a little bit more. Now, with that being said, what I would also look to do is I would see if we could possibly, take a wide receiver like Tutu Atwell and get a wide receiver upgrade at the same time in that same deal. Joseph says 12-team at BBR, 1 flex. Do we start Fields or Russ? We're definitely going to go Fields. He still has rushing upside. And then who do we start in the flex? Algier, Pierce, Kelly, or Jordan Addison? 100% please start Joshua Kelly. Joshua Kelly, highest scoring game of the week, great offense, and it's going to have every touch in that backfield. Spencer says sit 1, Etienne, Walker, Kyron Williams, or Joe Mixon. Tough spot to be in. If Burrow's good to go, I sit Kyron. If Burrow is maybe going to miss, we sit Mixon. Now, Hayes of the Green Smoke says 10-team full BBR format. We have JT Kelly, Ford, Moss, Dalvin, Madison, Brees. Start 3. Looking to trade Brees for Judy for wide receiver depth. I'd be okay if you wanted to do it. I feel like we can get a little bit of a better receiver, but our 3 are going to be Joshua Kelly, Zach Moss, and Alexander Madison. Like we said, you have to start Kelly and Moss getting every touch. And then also Alexander Madison actually viable this week with no Akers. Now, Lute says PBR 12-team league, 3 wide receiver, Richardson, DJ Moore for Olave or DJ Moore. No, Anthony Richardson, DJ Moore for Olave. Yes, we do that. Or DJ Moore, Tutu Atwell for Puka. Yes, we do that. Up to you. I'm fine with either. We have Herbert at quarterback, Wilson. Yeah, great deal. You can make either one. Lance Dunbar's burner coming out says, happy BR 12-team, no tight end, double flex, where we have Lamb, Olave, Dotson, Dell, Hawkinson. Running back, we have Mostert, Kyron, Akers. If Hawkinson has a big week, do I trade him? I would say yes in a league where you don't have to start tight ends. Typically, tight ends are going to give you an edge when they're the elite level players, not from the raw amount of points that they are going to score, but instead the points over replacement at the position. So I would look to go ahead and sell TJ Hawkinson in a league where you don't start one, even if, I loved Hawkinson coming into the season. Niner Rick says, put my mind at ease. I picked Alexander Madison over Kenneth Walker. You can still change that, my man. I would go Kenneth Walker over Alexander Madison. If you really need to go Madison over Walker, we can say he is a running back getting every single touch in the highest scoring game of the week. We're obviously want as many pieces in that game as we can get. Now, Basir says 12-team at BBR Superflex going all in this year in Dynasty is trading Collins and a future first for Diggs or Collins and a future second for A.J. Brown. I think both deals are fair. Typically, I'll say now is the worst time to be going through and trading away future picks in Dynasty. If you wait 2 more weeks, you're going to have those teams that realize, okay, I'm not really contending, and then they will look to shut it down. Now, Nick says 10-team BBR format. What do you think about this trade? Brian Robinson and Lockett for Evans and Gus Edwards. I'd rather have Brian Robinson and Tyler Lockett. I have Bijan Gibbs. Yeah, I definitely go Brian Robinson, Lockett. I think Lockett and Evans are closer long-term than what you have with Brian Robinson and Gus Edwards. Edwards is nice this week with no Hill, but I don't know. Now, Phil says, much love, Mason. Trade Christian Watson for Kenneth Walker, yes or no? Yes, I would, and I love Christian Watson. I have 8, especially if we have these wide receivers, my man. iShine says, pick one, Edwards or Moss. We're going to be going with Zach Moss for that RB slot, my man. I think that it will be pretty much a no-brainer here with you have both Melvin Gordon and Kenyon Drake getting called up. But hell yes, Joey says, just got my flock hat. I'm super pumped to hear that, my man. Honestly surprised that y'all are getting them this early. I figured we were going to have like a ton of people coming out on Monday screaming that they got their flock hats, but that is awesome. Super pumped, my man. Let me know how you like it. Let me know how you like it. Okay. Now, our next question coming out from Gabe says, full BBR, we have Lawrence, Mixon, Warren, Diggs, Debo, Komet, Addison. And then on the bench, we have Pierce, Lockett, Frymuth, Purdy, Rice, Roshan, Ford. What are your thoughts? I like it. Obviously, it'd be nice if we could upgrade at tight end. I'll say I may still go Pat Frymuth over Cole Komet. With no Deontay Johnson. And I would also go through and cut Rashee Rice and look to pick up another running back off the waiver wire. Joey says, thank you so much. This thing looks great. Hell yes, my man. Super happy to hear that you like it. Hell yeah. Hopefully we can get out as many flock hats to as many people as possible. Super happy to hear you like yours, my man. Okay. But Shad says 10-team PBR 0-2. We have Lamar, Henry, Etienne, Wilson, Myers, Ingram, Kyron. And then on the bench, we have Lawrence, Mostert, Ford, Moss, Hunt, Tutu, Reynolds. What can we trade for a better wide receiver one? Raheem Mostert will be the sell. If we're not using Raheem Mostert right now, I mean, there will be another team that lost Chubb. There'll be another team that lost Dobbins. There'll be a team that needs a running back. He is operating with a limited shelf life until Jeff Wilson comes back, where we don't know if he'll still be viable. So if we could go through and send, say, Mostert and Garrett Wilson and go get Amon-Ra St. Brown, let's do it. Andres says start Garoppolo or Wilson. We have Burrow. I'm going to go Jimmy G over Zach Wilson. And then OMG Legend says traded Puka, Dillon for Etienne, Godwin. Cup on the IR. Puka to Etienne upgrade, Dillon to Godwin upgrade. I like it. Andres says also which running back, Kelly, Miller, or Moss. I'm definitely going to go Joshua Kelly as that 3-down bell cow in a great game environment. But we are going to turn on Super Chats, ladies and gentlemen. We just got through all the questions there. And we have Omega Les Paul, longtime member of the flock, officially joining as a member on YouTube. Happy to have you, my man. Happy to have you. We got Rec out here in the chat. We got Joey. We have Boone Gang says Fields or Russ. We already answered this for you earlier on, my man. We will go ahead and we'll take Justin Fields over Russell Wilson. And then Andrew coming out says 12-team PPR format, 1-1, Hurts, White, Ford, Hill, AJ, Debo, Andrews. And then on the bench, we have Watson, Zeke, Shaquille, Parker, Pierce. We just traded Breece Hall and Mike Williams for AJ Brown. Hell yes. Now being offered Cup and JT for Tyreek. What are your thoughts? Oh, that's actually a very interesting question. If we were 2-0, I think that honestly, we probably keep Tyreek for right now, especially with no Jalen Waddle this week. I mean, we keep Tyreek. We pretty much lock in the W for this week itself. If we can do this going into week 4, where we don't have to wait one more week for Cup and JT, then we would. Really interesting question, though. Now, Zach says, got a team on the fence, but I give T and Breece Hall for Keenan and Rachaad White. What are your thoughts? T to Keenan, probably an upgrade at this point. Hall to Rachaad White, upgrade in the short term. Long term, it's questionable. If this is a dynasty format, you want T Higgins and Breece Hall, and it's not even close. In a shallow redraft league, I do think that it's up to you. William says Tua or Dak this week. Ooh, tougher now that you have no Waddle. Oh my gosh. The issue with Dak is going up against Arizona. Like, they're going to be able to just run the ball in the second half. And then Berrios or Bigsby. Oh my gosh. Let me look at the volume that Berrios has been seeing. Can everybody spam the chat? Who would you rather have this week? Would you rather have Would you rather have Tua or Dak Prescott now that you have no Jalen Waddle? Can you please let me know, Tua or Dak? Berrios has 70 receiving yards so far in the season. 8 targets. Obviously, no Waddle. I think we go Braxton Berrios over Tank Bigsby, that is. But we got Tua, Dak, Tua. Yeah, it looks like most people are still saying Tua here. Most people saying Tua even with no Jalen Waddle. But Aaron coming out says, again, Mason, 12-team full BBR format, 2-0. We have Mahomes, Ramondre, Kyren, Tyreek, Olave, Godwin, Goddard, Madison, Johnston, Burks, Roschon. Trade Olave and Kyren Williams for Jamar Chase and Akers since I have Alexander and Madison, or trade elsewhere. Olave to Chase upgrade. God, I would say no in a league like this. I think that you look elsewhere. I mean, I like the idea. If we can get a small depth piece back in return, then sure, let's do it. But the fundamental issue that you have right now is you're just giving up all the value with where it currently lies. If you're selling a starting running back, we definitely need to be asking for a premium in return. Cheap Perp says full BBR, double flex. We have Lamar, Chase, Ridley, Jacobs, Etienne, flex, Kyren, and Walker. And then on the bench, we have Burrow, Barkley, Aaron Jones, Jacoby Myers, and Christian Watson. Kyren for Puka. Okay, so double flex league, the wide receiver makes a little more sense. If you think you can turn around and then sell Puka and get Olave and then sell Puka and get A.J. Brown, I am fine with the move. Or get a Amon-Ra St. Brown. We have Jacobs, Etienne, Walker, Kyren, Barkley, Aaron Jones. So we have every single RB. I mean, I would try to squeeze a little bit more if we can. Anymore. Paul says start to Kelly, Moss, or Kyren Williams. We're going to go Joshua Kelly and Kyren Williams in a full PPR format. Manny says, should I start Addison or Miles Sanders in the flex? We're going to go Miles Sanders in the flex, even with no Bryce Young. Now, Hollywood says, who should we start? 12-team full BBR. We start 2 running backs, 3 receivers in a flex. We have CMC, Kyren, Pacheco, Roschon, Gainwell, Olave, Waddle, London, Addison, Tony, Dell. Already started CMC. So we need 1 more running back. I think that running back will be Kenneth Walker. We need 3 receivers who will be Olave, London, and Addison now that we can't start Waddle. And then for our flex, we're going to go back to the running back position, and we will start Kyren Williams. We're in a very comfortable spot, even with no Jalen Waddle for this team. Okay. Now, Dante says, I need 2 wide receivers in a flex. Lamb, Ridley, Puka, Olave, and Addison. I am an idiot, so I bench Puka and Addison. I go Lamb, Ridley, and Olave. I have those guys higher than Puka in my rankings this week. We've seen the continued dominance from these guys. Puka, we've seen 2 weeks. While in those 2 weeks, he's been at the very top of the NFL. I would like a slightly larger sample, if we're going to be honest. A slightly larger sample. Now, I'm trying to see if there's, I don't know. I mean, if you don't believe me here, and I know obviously everybody wants to start Puka. I mean, Puka's underdog pick'em this week is 63.5 receiving yards. Whereas if we go through and look at what these other guys are at, I mean, you look at CeeDee Lamb, they have CeeDee Lamb currently at 74.5 total yards. They have CeeDee Lamb for 11 more yards than Puka. Let's see if we can find Olave here. They have Olave at 64.5. So they have Olave, I guess, in the same exact range. And then we saw that they had Calvin Ridley at about 69. So yeah, the underdog pick'ems have Puka as the lowest guy there as well at only 63.5 receiving yards. Fundamentally, I do think it's up to you, though. I think it's up to you. Just whatever you do, do not start Jordan Addison. And then, of course, ladies and gentlemen, if y'all want to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, You can find that link in the live chat, find it in the description, find it in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, 100% of positive match, up $200. Plus, you're going to be getting our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers, a Lamar Jackson special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard against the Indianapolis Colts this weekend. And also, we are giving away a ton of Flock Fantasy hats. We just had someone in the chat get theirs right this second. But if you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, please make sure y'all go and fill out the Discord on the flockfantasy.com Discord, that Google form. And if you remember both sides, we will get you hooked up with a Flock Fantasy ad if you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog. But Nate says, injury bug all around. PBR need to start 3. Pierce, Dillon, Roshan Chuba, Tony Jones, and Brandon Cooks. We're going to go Pierce, Dillon, even if Aaron Jones were to play. And full PBR format, probably Brandon Cooks there, my man. That's tough. Julian says, PBR pick 2 for the flex. We have Pacheco, Madison, Dotson, Christian Watson, and then also Komet or Kincaid. We're going to go Kincaid even due to the matchup. And then for the 2 flex, we're going to go Madison and Christian Watson if he's good to go. And if Christian Watson's not good to go in a full PBR format, I'll still bench Pacheco as he's not fully healthy, and we'll go with John Dotson instead. Matt says, start 3, Pollard, Etienne, James Cook, Kyron. Thank you, sir. No, thank you, my friend. Pollard and Etienne are must-start guys. It comes down to James Cook and Kyron Williams. If you look at our rankings, we do have these guys pretty damn close this week. I probably will go James Cook as a 6.5-point favorite over Washington, though. Jose says, happy PBR, quarter point per carry. So we're starting a running back in the flex spot every chance we get. So running back flex, Warren, Tony Jones, JSN, Sutton, and Gibson. We're going to be going with Warren and Tony Jones. If there was not the point per carry aspect, then at that point, maybe we wouldn't go with the running back in the flex, but specifically in a point per carry league, you have to go through and put that RB in the flex spot, my man, especially if it's half PBR as well. Austin says, PBR league, do we start Amari or Zach Moss in the flex? Really up to you. I think Amari has a higher ceiling. Zach Moss has the higher floor. Amari is a really good matchup going up against Tennessee, where you can't really run the ball against Tennessee. You have to throw it. Now, Omega Les Paul out again says, my boy, should we go with the wide receiver upgrade with my surplus of running backs? We have JT, Pollard, Kyron, Mostert, Sanders, Hall. Maybe an Amari upgrade. You can do this in a league where we start 3 wide receivers. What I'll say is if we're going to look to go ahead and sell a running back, which we should be able to get a premium for, considering the fact that you had the Chubb injuries, the Dobbins injury, the Akers news. I mean, just across the league, the running back position has been decimated. If we were going to go through and sell one of those RBs, we'd be selling Raheem Mostert, because Mostert is crushing right now, but still at the end of the day, you don't really know the exact situation he's going to find himself in when Jeff Wilson Jr. is back in here. Like whenever you have Jeff Wilson Jr. in, then at that point, I mean, we possibly want to be benching Raheem Mostert if he isn't an RB by committee. So if we're not starting him now, then let's go ahead and let's get some value for him right away. So if we can go like Raheem Mostert and Amari Cooper and go get a stud receiver, let's do it. Now, Shadow says, thanks, bro. 0-2, 16-team full BBR format where we have Herbert, Henry, Sanders, Higgins, DJ, Addison. How do I trade for Kamara and AJ/Adams? How about Puka and Allen, or Puka for Allen and James Cook, and any other suggestions for a solid wide receiver 1? So the main thing I want to say and the main thing I want to point out is if you are going to be in a league where it's a 16-team format, we are highly, highly incentivized to go through and build around depth rather than just the top end studs. So typically, I don't want to be sending, say, like Miles Sanders and T. Higgins to go get a wide receiver upgrade in a 16-team format. That's a move that we're looking to make in a 12-team, in a 10-team league. If you really wanted to trade for Kamara and, say, A.J. Brown, if we could send like Derrick Henry for Kamara and A.J. Brown in this kind of format, that's what we're looking to do. In a 16-team format, we're looking to send the best player and get 2 players in return just because a roster spot is going to be worth so much less. But let me go ahead and pull that back up for you, Christian. I am sorry about that. Give me 1 second here, ladies and gentlemen. So it's going to be the 10-team PBR format. Pick a running back 2, wide receiver 2, and a flex. Jacobs, Puka, Amari, Kelly, Moss. And then also Henry over Ingram. No, please go Evan Ingram over Hunter Henry, especially with no Zay Jones. I'm working on trades to clear out the bench. I think we're going to be going with Jacobs, Joshua Kelly at running back, and the flex. And we are going to be going with Puka at wide receiver, my man. I think that's what we're going to do. But super, super sorry about that. But Jaden says start 2, Zay Flowers, Garrett Wilson, and DK Metcalf. We're going to go Garrett Wilson and DK Metcalf. I like the long term for Zay Flowers. I just don't think he's a must-start guy right this second when you have a healthy Mark Andrews. But Strike It Gaming coming out says 12-team full PPR. Where we have Jacobs, Walker, Adams, Pitts, Myers, Waller, KJ. And then on the bench, we have Boyd, Laporta, Hollins, Mayer, Spears, Zay Jones. Interesting situation. I don't necessarily think a trade makes a lot of sense with this team. I think instead what's going to make sense is we need to go through and we need to construct this bench a little bit better and try to roster some high upside running backs, wide receivers. Someone like Michael Mayer is fundamentally never going to make a difference for this team. In best ball, sure, I like him. In Dynasty, I love him. But in a shallow redraft format, drop the third tight end like Michael Mayer. Go pick up either a running back or wide receiver with upside down there on the bench. And then wide receiver, we will be starting Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers on this team. I think we do it. But yeah, you can't be rostering 3 tight ends here. Drop Michael Mayer, go pick up someone else. Ed says, should we trade James Cook and Olave for Jamar Chase in a full PPR format? I like the idea of buying low on Chase. I think this is a fair price. But typically, if we are going to be going through and trading away a running back at this point, I don't want to be trading away the RB for a fair price. I want to make sure we are getting a premium on it. Now, Christopher says, call me crazy. Mac Jones over Justin Fields this week. You are freaking nuts. If you want to make an argument that Mac Jones will be a better real-life quarterback, then sure, you do you. But specifically in fantasy, whenever we're prioritizing rushing upside, you 100% want Justin Fields. But Palm Tree Tunes coming out says, PBR for the flex, Watson, Judy, or Drake London. We're going to be going with Jerry Judy. I think we would rather have Christian Watson long-term. It is tough to start Watson his first week back, though. I mean, you kind of saw that same thing with, say, Jerry Judy his first week back last week. Gabriel says, would you rather have Kamara or Rachaad White rest of season? Happy BR. If you would have asked me this before the Jamal injury, I think I probably would have said Rachaad White. But now that Jamal Williams is on the IR, I actually think we pivot that answer over, and I think I would rather have Alvin Kamara over Rachaad White. But Aaron says, another league, 10-team at PBR, 2-0, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 2 flex. We have Hurts, Saquon, Dillon, Breida, Hill, Williams, Evans, Pitts, Andrews, Watson, Kirk, Tutu, Mooney. Who should we trade for in great shape compared to others? Yeah, so that league, my man, that wide receiver depth just matters so much more. I mean, I understand we're going to be struggling at running back just for this second, but ultimately running back 2 is going to make up such a high percentage of our starting lineup output that even if we are dealing maybe with a little bit of nonsense currently when it comes to, say, what our running back situation is with the banged up Saquon Barkley, I actually don't think we make any trades. I think we just sit in this very comfortable position. The only thing I would say is potentially if you wanted to go ahead and maybe move off of Darnell Mooney at the bottom end of this bench, you go pick up a running back off the waiver wire. That is something that we could look to do. But I think outside of that, I mean, in terms of trades, we just struggle at running back a bit until we get Saquon Barkley back. A league where we can start up to 5 wide receivers in a week-to-week perspective. I'd rather build around receiver. And then is giving Ramondre for Gibbs smart? I would rather have Jahmyr Gibbs over Ramondre Stevenson rest of season. Based off what we've seen from these 2 respective offenses, give me Jahmyr Gibbs. Give me the player that's going to continue to get better. Manny says Christian Kirk or Jordan Addison. I actually would rather have Christian Kirk now that Zay Jones is officially out. Obviously, Addison long-term. Now, Squirt coming out says, 2 questions. Start Raheem or Kelly. Really like both running backs this week. I'd love to start both. We will go with Raheem Mostert here. We have Puka, Nico, DK, Zay, Pickens, and Addison. We need 2 wide receivers and a flex. Who do we start? Our 2 wide receivers are going to be Puka and DK. Our flex, if we can go back to the running back position, we'll start Joshua Kelly. If we can't, we'll go George Pickens with no Deontay Johnson. But real quick, ladies and gentlemen, we are 4 likes away from hitting 800 likes on this live stream. And yes, Moss coming out here telling us we are almost at 200,000 subs. So please, it would be awesome if we get 200,000 subs, especially if we can do it by my birthday. Go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Help us get recommended to someone new. And also, if you want to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat, find it in the description, find it in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK is going to get you a 100% deposit match up to $500 with the new account on Underdog Fantasy. Plus, you are going to be getting a Lamar Jackson special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard, going up against the Indianapolis Colts this weekend. And you'll be getting a chance at winning $10,000 every Sunday. Underdog's giving away $100,000 to 10 different people. Actually had a few members of the flock win that this past week. Just include Tyreek in your pick'em slip, his total yardage mark. You'll see it as a special pick'em. And then also, please make sure you fill out the Discord. If you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog and you're a member of flockfantasy.com, we are shipping out a ton of Flock Fantasy hats. And we have a ton more in our living room we're trying to get rid of. So please, please, please fill that out so I have some addresses we can send those hats to. Now, Zach says 10-team at BBR format with only 1 flex. We have Lawrence, Tyreek, AJ Brown, Ridley, Stevenson, Madison, Tyreek in exchange for Chase, Joe Mixon, James Conner. What? Are you saying Tyreek versus Chase Mixon and James Conner? Typically, 10-team league with 1 flex. Give me the best player. Give me Tyreek Hill. However, I think that it's enough value where we can take the Mixon and James Conner side, especially with how decimated the running back position has been across the league. Now, Parker says Gus, Evans, Amari for the flex spot in a half PPR format. I think we are going to go ahead. We will be taking, oh my gosh, probably Mike Evans now that you have Kenyon Drake and Melvin Gordon both active for this game as well. Bill says trade Puka for Jamar Chase. Hell yes, I would trade Puka for Jamar Chase. General rule of thumb, when you hear me saying trade Puka for Jamar Chase, trade Puka for AJ Brown, if you can pick someone up off the waiver wire and then 2 weeks in, turn around and sell them for someone that went in round 1 of your fantasy football draft, typically that is the move that we want to make. Now, 1T3 says Mixon or Kelly at the RB2 slot with Pollard at RB1. Ooh. Healthy Burrow. If Burrow's good to go, I'd probably go Mixon. If Burrow misses, we probably go ahead and we probably take Joshua Kelly. Verso says Amari, Higgins, Mostert. Which one to flex? We're going to go with Raheem here, my man. Now, Salaj says trade Amon-Ra, Etienne, and Amari for Chase and A.J. Brown. Amon-Ra to A.J. Brown, lateral move. Etienne and Amari for Jamar Chase. If you're fine at running back, I'd probably rather have the stud package. Let's get Chase and A.J. Brown. Steven says injuries suck. Pick 2. Roshan, JSN, Tony, and Samaje Perine. We'd probably go Roshan and JSN and send up a prayer that one of these rookies breaks out. If Deonta Foreman is active and you have 3 running backs active in Chicago, then at that point, I would change from Roshan to Samaje. Now, John coming out says PBR 1 flex. We're starting Amon-Ra, Ridley, Keenan. Are you replacing any of them with Puka because of the Amon-Ra injury or Lawrence bad against Houston last year? Not worried about Lawrence in the slightest. I would play all 3 of these guys over Puka. Like we said, Puka's underdog pick'em this week is at 63.5 receiving yards. I mean, hell, you look at any of these other guys, they're going to be way higher than that. You look at where they have Amon-Ra St. Brown right here. I mean, they currently have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Last I checked, at 72.5 receiving yards, so 9 receiving yards more. I mean, they have Ridley at like 70 receiving yards. Keenan Allen's going to be a smash with no Eckler. I would love to start Puka. I just don't know if we can do it with those over those wide receivers where we've seen the long trend of dominance. Now, our next question coming out from Mason says, 10-team full BBR 1 flex. I'm 1-3. We just traded Aaron Jones and, oh my gosh. Great move. Also, Mark Andrews for Derek. How the hell did you do that? We have Hurts, a banged up Eckler, Kelly Lamb. Both of those trades were great. I understand how we could sell Aaron Jones, Kyron Williams for Bijan Robinson. If someone doesn't understand like the true value of those studs and what it typically does to go through and trade a stud for depth. Like I've seen a deal like that happen over and over again, even if it is, say, a mistake. But I don't ever really see someone be able to trade Mark Andrews for like Derrick Henry, Mike Evans. Like that is a phenomenal deal, my man. Both trades are. AJ says traded Kyron for Mixon, DJ Moore, Moss, Ertz, Stafford for Higgins. I don't know where this one first deal starts, where the other one stops. So you're saying we have Hurts, Mixon, Sanders, Jefferson, Higgins, Kittle, Kelly with Taylor Atwood. I think it's a great team. Obviously, we have a lot relying on Joe Burrow getting healthy and hopefully Joe Burrow being good to go. We'll see if it happens, but I think with the other strong pieces that we have, such as Jefferson, Jalen Hurts, Jonathan Taylor, I think it's worth going through and making that, I don't want to say gamble, but making that bet. Now, Thiago says Aaron Jones or Joshua Kelly. I'm going to go Joshua Kelly this week, Aaron Jones long-term. Low Rise says 6-point passing touchdown. Start Lawrence or Watson at quarterback. Definitely Lawrence. Also, 2 at the flex. Watson, Bateman, Tank Dell, Osborne, Dobbs, Kincaid, Hunt, and Devon Achane. We're going to go with the combination of Christian Watson and, oh my gosh, Christian Watson and I guess Tank Dell if it's a full PPR format. That's gross though. Hopefully Hunt does better where we can go through and start Hunt going forward. But I mean, really hard to start Hunt before we actually see what the role is in this offense. But High and Cred says PBR start 1. We have Moss, Kirk, Gabe Davis. I know it's gross. Not that gross, my man. Let's go through and let's start Zach Moss. He saw literally 100% of the running back snaps last week. High and Cred says other leagues start 1. Devon Achane, Craig Reynolds, and Dameon Pierce. We're going to go Dameon Pierce here. Now, Trip says 10-team at BBR format, 3 wide receivers and a flex. We have Lamar, Pollard, Jacobs, Madison, White, AJ Chase, Watson, Ayuk, Elijah Moore, Hawkinson. Should we trade Jacobs, White, Ayuk, Watson for Diggs and Jahmyr Gibbs? Thanks. So thank you, my man. And here, Jacobs to Gibbs, happy BR format, call it a slight downgrade lateral move. Ayuk, Watson for Diggs in a 10-team league, great trade. Yes, I would do this. I'm probably a little bit too high on Jahmyr Gibbs, but yes, let's go get the best player. Let's get Diggs here. Now, Pierce says 12-team happy BR format, where we have Herbert, Bijan, Pollard, Keenan, Puka, Kyron. On the bench, we have Mike Williams, Gibbs, Sutton. I want to do something with added depth. What's the move? Thanks, bro. No, thank you, my man. And yeah, we do have so much depth on this team. I think the move is if you look at someone maybe like Puka, I don't want to say he's a limited shelf life. I do think that he's going to be startable whenever you have Cooper Kupp coming back in, but I do think that he'll fall from being like the A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Chris Olave range down to more so being like the Mike Williams range. So if we could take that bump in value that we have right now with no Cooper Kupp, potentially go through and look to package together Puka and Mike Williams to get a long-term stud wide receiver, such as A.J. Brown, that would be the move that I'm looking to make, my man. Just because we have the depth to do so. But Clay says traded James Cook, Etienne, Gibbs, Pickens for Olave and Bijan. Who? Give me Olave over ETN, but it's close. Let's just take them out of the deal. Would I rather have James Cook, Gibbs, Pickens, Bijan? In a 10-team league, great move. 10-team league, you make an argument that we traded the depth, got the 2 best players in return, which obviously is going to be advantageous. Now, Kid Curry says trade Garrett Wilson for Amari Cooper. I personally would. I know a lot of other people want it, but still, Amari is getting volume, and Amari is now fully healthy. Now, Chief Reefer coming out again says, who to start in a Happy BR 1 flex league? We have Smith, Metcalf, Evans, Godwin, Kyron, Swift, Madison, Moss, Ford, Frymuth, Taysom, Otten. Keep it rocking. Appreciate you, my man. Hopefully, we're not rostering all these tight ends. I think we're going to start Frymuth, even though I understand why Taysom is appealing here. With our 2 wide receivers, we're going to go Devonta Smith and Mike Evans. DK Metcalf's kind of going to be up to you. If you look at the Underdog Pick'ems, they would tell you to go with DK Metcalf. If you look at my rankings, I mean my flex rankings at least this week, I had Mike Evans at 25. I had Metcalf at 30. So I probably would go Evans. And then running back, I think we're going to start both Kyron and DeAndre Swift. And then for the flex, we're probably going to go with Alexander Madison now that you have no Cam Akers. If you would have asked me earlier in the week when we didn't know if Akers is going to play or not, I would have said Zach Moss though. But Hash Brown says 12-team full BBR format, double flex. We have Fields, Aaron Jones, Joshua Kelly, Amon-Ra, Pittman, Kelsey, Andrews, Puka. Should I try to trade my tight ends? Hell no, my man. No. Actually, no, never mind. I'm sorry. Yes. I just saw Travis Kelce when we looked back on that. If we have Andrews and Kelsey, yes, let's go ahead. Let's send Mark Andrews. Let's go get a running back like Travis Etienne. It's going to be a no-brainer. I mean, you're not wanting to go through and put someone like Mark Andrews in your flex spot. It's not that Andrews just scores so many points that makes him valuable in fantasy. What makes Andrews valuable in fantasy is he scores so many more points in comparison to the other tight ends, not compared to the other flex options. Now, Blake says, a full BBR, we need a wide receiver 2 and a flex from Judy, Watson, Tony, Reynolds, and Miller, as well as tight end between Henry, Ertz, and Pitts. I am probably going to go ahead and take Kyle Pitts for 1 more week. If you look at my rankings this week, I have Pitts in the same tier as these other tight ends. If you look at the Underdog Pick'ems, they have Kyle Pitts right with these other guys as well. I currently have Kyle Pitts, Hunter Henry, and Zach Ertz all back to back to back. I'm a little bit biased. Actually, let's probably go Hunter Henry. We're going to be realistic. Henry scored touchdowns over the past 2 weeks. Hunter Henry has looked pretty damn good as well. Tough spot. But then our wide receiver 2 is going to be Jerry Jeudy. I think Jerry Jeudy is going to be much better this week than he was last week. And then our flex is going to be Christian Watson if he's good to go. And if Christian Watson is not good to go, then at that point, we will pivot over and we will go Condre Miller. Now, not Oliver, always happy to see it, my man says. 10-team PPR, 3 wide receivers, 2 flex. We have Lamar, Pickens, Amari, Lockett, CMC, Walker, Laporta, Bourne, Thielen. And then on the bench, we have Waddle, JSN, Chandler, Kamara, Hunter Henry, Kupp, Reynolds. Who do we start in the flex? So obviously missing out on Jalen Waddle is going to be a tough spot to be in. Currently, we have Kendrick Bourne, Adam Thielen in those flex spots. We don't have Kamara this week either. We don't have Kupp this week either. So yeah, I mean, we are struggling a bit here, my man. The only thing I'd say is if you really wanted to play JSN over Kendrick Bourne, I wouldn't fault you for that. I mean, we had a strong start to the week with Christian McCaffrey on Thursday, but obviously we assume that CMC is going to be great every Thursday. I think this is going to be a very good team long-term when we get Waddle, when we get Kamara, when we get Kupp back in, but I 100% understand how we are struggling in the short term. Now, Eric says drop Josh Downs for Cortland Sutton, and then the Titans or Saints defense. Titans defense going up against Deshaun Watson. I mean, interesting spot to say the least. Obviously, Watson did not look good on Monday night. And you have the Saints going up against a pretty good Green Bay Packers offense. I'd go Titans defense. Let's go Titans defense. And then, yes, I would drop Josh Downs for Cortland Sutton. Joe says, 10-team, 1-1. We have Tua, James Cook, Ford, Adams, DK, Waller, Sutton, Dillon, Roschon, Gainwell, Hollywood, Watson, Ertz, Kupp, Deontay. Who in the flex and running back trade ideas? So we're going to be starting Tua, James Cook, A.J. Dillon at RB if you have no Aaron Jones. If Aaron Jones plays, then I'm fine with you going forward. Adams, DK at wide receiver, Waller at tight end. We already talked about the possibility of if Aaron Jones were to miss, then A.J. Dillon's a must-start guy. If not, we're going to go Christian Watson if he plays. If Christian Watson misses, then we will pivot over to Hollywood Brown. And then in terms of running back trades, I don't necessarily see anything that makes a lot of sense because these wide receivers are not going to get a lot of value for. The only thing I'd say is if we could go through and roster as many running backs on our bench, it would be really nice to see if we can find the next Kyron Williams. But ladies and gentlemen, we are one like away from hitting 900 likes on this live stream. So please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football, of course. And if you want to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, and find that link in the live chat, find it in the description, find it in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match up to $500 on Underdog Fantasy with the new account. Plus, you're going to be getting a Lamar Jackson special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard against the Colts. Plus, make sure you include the Tyreek special pick'em this week. His total yardage, you can go higher or lower. It's up to you. But you're going to be entered in to win $10,000. Underdog's going to give away $10,000 to 10 people. They did last week, and we had a couple members of the flock actually win that, which is really cool. But not Oliver says dropped Hunter. A great drop. I will say that we probably go Pitts in that instance. Max says, did Stevenson, Garrett Wilson, Dotson for Derrick Henry and Jerry Jeudy? Jerry Jeudy, Garrett Wilson, about the same. I'd way rather have Derrick Henry over Stevenson and Dotson. Great move. Paris says trade Puka for Andrews and Kamara or Gabe Davis. Wait, what? Oh, hell yeah. We'll drop we'll trade Puka for Andrews and Kamara. We'll do that in a heartbeat. Flex Bud, Mike Williams, Nico Collins, Zach Moss, Drake London, you're the GOAT. Appreciate you, my man. Full BBR format, we're probably going to go ahead and take Mike Williams. Non-BBR league, I wanted to fault you if you wanted to go with Zach Moss. Sparrow says, do I trade Deebo Samuel for Jalen Waddle? I personally would. Yes, I would. Jinx says, 12-team at BBR format, double flex. We have Herbert, Tyreek, Jefferson, Ramondre, Rashad White, Laporta, Montgomery, Judy, Ford, Kelly, Roschon, Tajay Spears. Any moves? If we could get a stack in here with Justin Herbert, I think that would make a lot of sense. If this is a league where maybe you are, say, 2-0, where we can possibly afford to miss out on some production in the short term for long-term upside, if we could send like Ramondre Stevenson and say Jerome Ford or Ramondre Stevenson and David Montgomery and go get Austin Eckler for the long term, I think that would make a lot of sense. But outside of that, this is a phenomenal team. I mean, you're sitting with Jefferson and Tyreek. It's hard to make any moves there. Colin says thoughts on Elijah Moore and Condre Miller this week. I think both guys have upside. Very hard to commit to either player, though. Definitely want to roster both guys and see what happens, though. Now, Noah says, start Pacheco or Condre Miller. I'll go Pacheco if he does play, but right now Pacheco is questionable and trending towards a game time decision. Now, Sly says 16 PBR where we're 2-0. We have Tua, Pollard, Walker, Jefferson, Puka, Andrews, Olave, Barkley, Waddle, Burrow, Watson, Judy, Flowers, Harris, Taylor. Chill or trade up. I'm always looking to trade up in a 6-team league. 6-team league, if we can go through, if we can send, say, Christian Watson and Tua, go send, say, I don't know, Zay Flowers, Jerry Jeudy, and Tua. Go send Harris, Flowers, and Tua. If we can get up to a top 3 to 4 quarterback, I would love to do that in a 6-team league in particular. Zach says, thanks, Dad. Love you, my man. Thank you. Joseph says, at BBR, I'm 2-0. Was offered Evans for Waddle. The guy accepted. Offered Evans for, oh, hell yeah. We definitely would rather have Waddle there, especially on a 2-0 team. Also, Laporta or Freiermuth this week. I mean, if you look at my rankings, you'll see that we have these guys somewhat close. I mean, in my mind, pretty damn tough. I have Laporta at 11, Freiermuth at 14. I think we kind of have to throw in the flag and say Laporta. even if I did like Freiermuth coming into the season. Now, Sir Raider says 12-team full PPR. Need a running back 2 and a flex with Warren, Gainwell, Judy, Myers, and Reynolds. Full PPR format, we're going to be going with both wide receivers. We will take Jerry Judy and Jacoby Myers. Now, Andres says 12-team PPR format. Quarterback is Lawrence. 2 running backs are Bijan and Pollard. 2 wide receivers are Olave, Waddle. The flex is Puka. The bench is Herbert, Kirk, Davis, Hall, Algier. Who can we start for Jalen Waddle? Well, first thing is move Puka to wide receiver 2. Waddle's down to the flex. And I think, honestly, we probably go ahead and play Gabe. No, we go Christian Kirk, especially if we have Lawrence and we have no Zay Jones. I mean, obviously, Kirk did nothing week 1. He looked great week 2. And the fundamental change that you had here wasn't that Christian Kirk changed completely his talent. It was more so Zay Jones just didn't play. Zay Jones isn't playing this next week either. Now, Globes to the Dome coming out says 10-team 0-2 PPR league. We have Mahomes, Mixon, Gibbs, Ridley, Puka, Pitts, Godwin at the flex. And then on the bench, we have Laporta, Brian Robinson, Warren, Condre Miller, Sky Moore with Cup on the IR. Should we switch my flex and any trade suggestions? Let me think. If you were going to swap your flex, I think we swap I think we swap Godwin with Brian Robinson. And then if we were looking to do anything in terms of trades, if you were really scared of falling to 0-3 and you wanted to send Kupp and Pitts and go get like an elite tight end right now, go get Andrews, go get Kelsey. I mean, if we can get Kelsey, it'll be a no-brainer, but Andrews may be a little bit closer just because we are 0-2 and obviously have another 2 weeks with no Kupp. Now, Crit Face coming out saying, have PPR 1 flex, trading Pollard, Lockett for Kenneth Walker, A.J. Brown. What do you think? Pollard to Walker, clear downgrade. Or let's say Pollard to A.J. Brown, clear downgrade. Lockett to Kenneth Walker, clear upgrade. I think it's a very fair deal. This looks like a deal that's more so a personal preference type thing than anything else. Typically, I want the best player in the deal, though, and I'll say Tony Pollard is the best player in this deal. Now, Getting Iggy with it says, 12-team app PPR format. I'm currently 2-0 and thinking about trading Brees and Warren for Taylor's. Oh, hell yes, I would do this. 2-0 roster where we can just think long-term. Jonathan Taylor still has a lot of long-term upside. I think that makes so much sense for you here, my friend. Now, Andy's Venture coming out says, Flockers, let's get this W this week. Hell yes, my man. What do you think about trading Tyler Lockett and Elijah Moore for Christian Watson? Really like it. Also, is Puka being overvalued with Kupp out? I think Puka is overvalued if he's viewed as an A.J. Brown, as an Amon-Ra St. Brown, maybe as a Chris Olave level player. I think that whenever you have, say, Cooper Kupp back into this offense, Puka will be a wide receiver 2 that people can start on a week-to-week perspective. They just can't view him as that elite level option as he has been. Thomas says, pick 1, Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson, Jahan Dotson, Tank Dell. Appreciate you, my man. We will go Garrett Wilson. Actually, yeah. We'll go Garrett Wilson. I mean, I definitely want Christian Watson long-term, but with his first week back, I think I'd go Garrett. Now, Shamil says, starting Nico, Keenan, Puka at the flex. We have Pitt and Elijah or DJ Moore on the bench. What are your thoughts? Should I switch Puka with anybody? Oh, no, hell no. We'll definitely keep Puka over Kyle Pitts at the flex spot. And we will definitely prefer having Puka over DJ Moore as well. Yeah, keep it as is. If you were going to swap anything, you would take Nico out, put DJ Moore in. But I think I have Nico ranked over DJ Moore. Rick says I trade Chris Godwin and Terry McLaurin for Kenneth Walker in an 8-team league. Oh, hell yes. 8-team league. It's a no-brainer. Yeah. I mean, wide receiver depth does not matter in that format. Now, Zachary says, have BBR start Swift or Gus Edwards. We're going to go DeAndre Swift. Also, Nico Collins or Mike Williams. Not rest of season, just this week. We will go Mike Williams both this week and rest of season. And if you're looking at Williams, I think he does get the bump with no Austin Eckler here. And then we should just have more targets going to these wide receivers overall. Now, Jaden says 2-0, 12-team full PBR. where we have Richardson, Etienne, Bijan, Wilson, DK, James Cook, Pitts. On the bench, we have Watson, Algier, Flowers, Ertz. Was offered Lockett for Watson. What wide receiver do we go for? Personally, I'm going to go with Christian Watson, my friend. Especially whenever we don't necessarily need someone for this week, right? I mean, maybe if you were like saying, Mason, come on, man, I have nobody to start this week. I need to get someone in. If Christian Watson misses, I'm going to be in a tough spot. Well, it looks like Watson will play. We don't even need to play him. He's going to stay on the bench. But same thing is, I mean, if you were to look at what you would have with possibly Tyler Lockett, Lockett's not hitting your starting lineup here either. Now, Nathan says Pierce for JSN, full BBR format. You probably prefer Dameon Pierce and hope that this Houston Texans offensive line can finally get healthy. Sam says full BBR, do we start Godwin or Collins? Thinking Slate, maybe watching Evans, given Godwin the opportunity, but Collins has been on fire. If you look at our rankings, I do have these guys relatively close. I'm going to go with Godwin over Nico Collins for this week. If you look at their underdog pick'ems, they're about the same. If you wanted to go Collins over Godwin, I'm not going to fault you whatsoever. I mean, let me just double check. What do I have these guys at in our rankings? I have Godwin at 43 in our flex rankings, Collins at 46. Yeah, they are pretty much back-to-back here, my man. Will says, PBR, Flowers or Kirk? I'm going to be going with Chris. I hate to say it. I probably go Kirk now that you have no Zay Jones. And then White or Miller. We're definitely going to go White over Miller. Now, Mankado says, should we trade James Conner for Alvin Kamara in a full PBR 10-team league? In a full BBR league, yes, I will, especially now that we have Jamal on the IR. Leo says 12-team full BBR. Who are we going to start? We have Burrow and Dak at QB. Running back, we have Swift, Gainwell, Etienne, Moss, Ford. Wide receiver, we have Chase, Olave, Collins, Amari, and Terry, who we're going to put at the flex. So we're going to go Dak at quarterback. Running back, we're going to go with Swift and Etienne. Wide receiver, we're going to go Chase and Olave. And we're probably going to go ahead and either put Amari or Zach Moss in there at the flex spot. Since it's a full BBR format, it is a little bit closer. Fundamentally, that flex will be up to you between those two players, though. Now, Adrian says 8-team league with 3 wide receivers, 2 flex. We have Lawrence, Kirk Cousins, Rashad White, Mixon, Hill, Diggs, Ridley, Hawkinson, Kamara, Nico, Pickens. Should we start White this week? So I think we're going to be starting, say, your call at quarterback, honestly, can go either way. Then running back, we're going to be going with Rashad White, Joe Mixon. Wide receiver, we're going to be going with Tyreek Hill, Diggs, Ridley. Flex, we're going to be going with Nico Pickens. Yeah, so I think you should start Rashad White this week, my friend. Now, Mindanor says start 2, Walker, Kelly, and Puka. Full BBR format, you probably go Walker and Puka. Non-PBR league, if you wanted to make an argument to go Kelly over Puka, I am not going to make it because I'd make everybody mad. So, no. I think you go Walker and Puka here, my man. Now, Garrisol says 10-team PBR, 3 wide receivers and a flex. We have Fields, CMC, Walker, Higgins, London, Puka, Pickens, Kittle. And then on the bench, we have Kupp, Montgomery, Sutton, Gainwell, Charbonnet, Warren. Where do I go? I'm 1-1. Love the content. Hook 'em Horns, baby. Hook 'em Horns, crushing Baylor right now. But I think it's a great team, especially in a league where you start 3 wide receivers or built around wide receivers a little bit more. I would say that it's going to be very difficult to make moves with this team right now because it is a little bit of a deeper format. And not only is it a deeper format, but at the same time, we are in a spot where you have Cooper Kupp and David Montgomery missing time. So if we're not going to have these guys over the next few weeks, we probably do want to sit on our hands for just a bit here, my friend. Sam says, full BBR, if Aaron Jones plays, do we start Rashad White or Aaron Jones? I'm going to go Rashad White until we see Aaron Jones fully healthy. Also, my quarterbacks are Watson and Richardson. Do I drop Watson or Jalen Warren for a quarterback sub? No, just play Deshaun Watson. I mean, if you're going to be dropping Jalen Warren for a QB sub, if you're not playing him in this format, then you'd have no reason, of course, to keep him. But I think you give him one more week, especially this is a good matchup against the Titans, where we know against the Titans defense, you can't run the ball. And the only thing that you can do is look to throw it. Okay. But now our next question coming out from Rick says, Herbert, Ryan Robinson, Walker, Hill, Olave, Hawkinson, Addison. And then on the bench, we have Fields, Kelly, Bijan. Bijan on the bench. Are you trolling me, my man? Nico. Oh, move Bijan Robinson to the starting lineup over Brian Robinson ASAP. And then honestly, I'd put Joshua Kelly in there over Jordan Addison in the flex as well. Yeah, please get Joshua Kelly and Bijan Robinson both in here, my man. Now, Chris says, full PPR, who am I flex between Brian Robinson, Christian Watson, Pickens, or Gabe Davis? Thanks, brother, and let's hit that like goal. Yes, sir. I mean, right now, what are we at likes? I think we're closing in on 1,000. Yeah, we are less than 10 likes away from 1,000 likes. So please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're probably going to go ahead and put Brian Robinson in your flex. I don't love it just because the matchup's so tough going up against the Bills where, I mean, Josh Jacobs literally had negative rushing yards last week. But still, Brian Robinson's getting some involvement here as a receiver as well. So even if the rushing efficiency is not there, he may be able to save it with some type of receiving volume. Now, return to reason, always happy to see you. Says, watch all summer, love the hustle. 12-team full PPR. Double flex, who to start and what moves. Herbert, Olave, Watson, Etienne, Kelly, Waller, Hopkins, Dotson. And then on the bench, we have Burks, Brian Robinson, Elijah Mitchell, Kareem Hunt, Justice Hill, Austin Eckler. Thanks, Bruno. Thank you, my man. So we're going to be waiting for Eckler long-term. We do have plenty of running back depth when Eckler's back in with Etienne, Eckler, and Brian Robinson. I don't necessarily think that there are any trades I want to make with this team, my man. The only thing I would say is similar to what we said on the last one is if we could potentially go ahead and get Brian Robinson into the starting lineup, that would be something I'm looking to do. Like if we could take out, say, John Dotson and put Brian Robinson in here. Like Dotson has a tough matchup as well against this Bills defense. Obviously, you'd rather be a receiver where they're probably going to have to throw the ball in the second half to try to keep up. But still, nonetheless, I would rather have the guaranteed volume. I'd rather have the guaranteed touches here. But yeah, great team, my man. Great team. Nick says, full BBR, Gabe Davis, Flowers, or Pickens. We're going to go with George Pickens this week with no Deontay Johnson. Now, Parallax says Garrett Wilson, James Conner, or Breece Hall in the flex in a full PPR format. We're going to go ahead. We will take James Conner with the guaranteed volume. Now, Exiled Runner says a 14-team PPR, 1 quarterback, 1 tight end, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 2 flex. We have Dak, Saquon, Pollard, Keenan, Hawkinson, Gabe Davis, Pickens, Zeke, Woods, Boyd, Otten, Wandale. Help me save the running back situation. What can I realistically give up? So the thing is, in a 14-team league where you start double flex spots, wide receiver depth is going to be a little bit more important at the same time. So it's a lot harder than just saying, oh, okay, yeah, let's go through. Let's take one of these depth wide receivers. Let's package them with our running back too. Let's go get an upgrade there. I mean, in reality, like who are we going to get some value for at wide receiver? The only guys we could sell and get value for, you have Keenan, Gabe Davis, George Pickens. Is that it? You're not getting anything. You need to hold on to these wide receivers. Arguably, we need more wide receiver help than we do running back. Whereas in the long term, we're at least getting Saquon Barkley back in to play alongside Tony Pollard. So I really hate to say this to you, my man, but in terms of moves that we can make from here, I think the only thing would be potentially drop Cade Otton and instead pick up an additional tight end. Pick up an additional either running back or wide receiver when we have TJ Hawkinson, who we can confidently rely on a week-to-week perspective. Now, Kingsley says, who do we start tomorrow, Lockett or Flowers? I'm going to go Lockett this week, maybe Flowers long-term. Now, Jeremiah says, half PBR, 12-team league, get Najee, give Nico. Yes, I will do this. Najee Harris looks disgusting. Obviously, nobody likes the guy, which is why you are getting him for a Houston Texans receiver. Mark says Amari and Zach Moss for Jalen Waddle. Long term, give me Waddle. Short term, if you're like 0-2, you may need the package. Jacob says Rachaad White or Javonte. We're going to go Rachaad White. And then start Warren or Ford. I'm going to go Ford. I think Ford has a better shot to lead his backfield in touches. But Shot says Kittle, Wilson for Kelsey, Olave, Madison. How are we feeling? So going from Kelsey to Eckler, downgrade. Going from Olave to Wilson, downgrade. And Madison to Kittle, obviously you'd rather have Kittle. I know you need a better wide receiver one, and honestly, I'd probably go with the Kelsey and Olave side here, just knowing that there is that possibility that Austin Eckler misses more time than people expect. I think we go Kelsey and Olave. Now, Thomas says, need one of these players this week. Madison, Kelly, Sanders, Brian Robinson, Hunt, Pierce. Also, should I be worried about Higgins with Burrow? Thank you. I mean, you should be a little bit concerned. I don't want to be panicking by any means. Like, I'm still starting T. Higgins this week. And then I think for this running back slot, I'm actually going to go Joshua Kelly. I know that it sounds crazy, but like literally if you look at the underdog pick him on what you have with Joshua Kelly right now, you'll see exactly why I like him. I mean, this is someone that just projects to be in such a high-scoring offense, and he's getting every single touch in this backfield. So, like, Joshua Kelly right now, if we can find this, is sitting at 80 total yards for his pick'em more than less than. It's going to be the highest-scoring game of the week. It's an elite-level offense. I think we need to go through. We need to play Kelly with no Austin Eckler. I know he let us down last week, but it was a really tough matchup going up against the Tennessee Titans. But real quick, of course, if any of y'all want to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat. Find it in the description. Find it in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK is going to get you a 100% deposit match on Underdog, up to $500 with the new account. Plus, you're going to be getting a Lamar Jackson special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard against the Indianapolis Colts. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, if you're on Underdog, please be including the Tyreek Hill special pick'em this weekend, where Underdog is going to be giving away $10,000 to 10 separate people tomorrow. We actually had a few members of the flock winning that $10,000 last week, which was really cool. But NFSD coming out says, can we get a updated tight end rankings video? My team right now is Njoku, but on the waiver wire, we have Ertz, Pitts. I would get Kyle Pitts here off waivers. And yeah, we actually did update everybody with tight end rankings and quarterback rankings on Friday. Coop says, I know you're high on Kelly this week, but we have Bijan, Gibbs, Olave, Godwin, Puka, Amari. Who would you start him over? Javonte on the bench as well. Really would only be Amari. If it's a non-PPR format, I think you honestly kind of have to start him over Amari. If it's a full PPR league, I do think that'll be up to you, my friend. Steven says traded Kyron and Algier for Etienne and Tutu. Love it, my man. Love it. Now, David coming out saying 10-team PPR, double flex, tight end is optional. We have Allen, Bijan, Kyron, Lamb, Waddle, Christian Watson, Godwin. And then on the bench, we have Kelly, Swift, Javonte, Gabe Davis, Quentin Johnson, Elijah Moore. We're 1-1. Any moves? Thanks, Mano. Thank you. Perfect spot to be in if tight end is optional, to just say F it and not roster a single tight end. That's the main thing that I'm looking to do here in this format. We have the elite quarterback. We have running backs, wide receivers with a ton of upside. In terms of long-term trades, I don't necessarily see any. I will say for the flex spots, though, I would prefer starting DeAndre Swift and Joshua Kelly this week over the combination of Christian Watson and Chris Godwin. But actually, we're going to have to probably slide Godwin into the Waddle slot and then move Christian Watson and Waddle to the bench and play the two running backs of the flex. But phenomenal setup for that league. Sam says, full BBR, do we trade Addison for Lockett? I'd rather have Lockett this week, but I'd probably rather have Addison long-term. Randy says, 18 full BBR. Should we trade Ridley and Gibbs for Stephon Diggs? In an 8-team league, I am completely fine with you doing this. I would say in a 10-team, in a 12-team league, probably not. There'd be no reason to. But in an 8-team league where the only thing that matters is getting the best player, if you wanted to do it, go for it. Rick says, full BBR, we have Stephon Diggs, Amon-Ra, Ridley, and Puka. Have to bench one of them. Please help. I hate to say this. Hate to say it. I personally would go through and bench Puka out of these guys. We have seen a large sample of dominance from 3 of these names. We've seen 2 weeks of dominance from Puka. I mean, hell, if you go look at the underdog pick'ems, they would agree with us as well. They only have Puka at 63 net receiving yards this week, whereas they have Calvin Ridley at 70. It's tough. If you wanted to bench someone else other than Puka, you'd bench Ridley. But NFC out again says 2 quarterback, 3 wide receiver at PBR. We have Hurst, Stafford, Jefferson, Puka, Monra, Jacobs, Connor. And then on the bench, we have Brian Robinson on Christian Watson, who's the flex. We're going to go Connor over Brian Robinson at RB2. We're going to play both running backs. We're going to go Brian Robinson at the flex. Doesn't matter if we put Brian Robinson or Connor there. I will say as a side note, would be really nice if we could get an upgrade at quarterback 2 over Matthew Stafford. I mean, obviously, it's going to be hard to do so right now, but once we have these guys fully healthy, if we can find another intriguing waiver wire pickup, then at that point, send like Brian Robinson and Stafford to get a quarterback that we're really excited about. I think that'd make a lot of sense, but great team. Alex says pick 2 at BBR where you have Connor, James Cook, Brian Robinson, and Javonte Williams. We're going to go with James Cook and most likely Brian Robinson. Really tough matchups for both Brian Robinson as well as James Conner this weekend. Now, Muhammad coming out says 12-team PPR, double flex. We have Watson, Richardson, Gibbs, Moss, Taylor, Hunt, Chase, Adams, Waddle, Watson, JSN, Flowers, Deontay, Laporta. Person offered me Swift, Andrews, Addison, Gabe for my Devontae Adams and Sam Laporta. What are your thoughts? So going from Devontae Adams to Mark Andrews is going to be a downgrade. Going from Laporta to Addison is an upgrade. So does it make sense to do it if we were to be getting Swift and Gabe Davis added on? It's a double flex league, so depth matters a little bit more. I would say this is one of those trades where if it was like a 10-team, 1-flex format, I probably would keep Devontae Adams and keep the best player. However, with this being a 12-team double flex where depth does matter a little bit more, I'm completely fine in this format if you wanted to go out there and if you wanted to get the package of 4 guys here. Dicer, happy to see you, my man says. Mason, my friend, first existential, I believe we said that correctly, question of the year. Sit Fields or Jared Goff? Oh my gosh. 6-point passing touchdown format. I'm going to prefer Goff over Fields. 4-point passing touchdown league is going to be very difficult given the Fields rushing upside. Like if you look at the underdog pick'em that they have with Fields this week, they have Fields at 60 rushing yards. The rest of the team is Adams, Sun God, Pollard, Swift, Kelsey, Puka, also Swift or Kelly. Full PBR format, we probably go Swift. Non-PBR format, we probably go Kelly. I really like both guys. I'm going to ask the live chat this. Can everybody in the chat please let me know? Who would y'all rather have? Would you rather have Justin Fields against the Chiefs this week? Or Jared Goff in a spot with no David Montgomery where they maybe throw the ball a little bit more? I'm assuming obviously in a 6-point passing touchdown format, everybody goes Goff, but a 4-point passing touchdown format where the passing volume matters a little bit less and the rushing volume matters a little bit more. So we got Goff, Fields, Goff, Fields, Goff, Goff. Goff, 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 Goff. People are pretty damn close on this, my man. I'm happy to see you back out in the live chat. Let me spend a little bit more time. Let me see what the underdog pick'ems are for these guys. So Fields, they currently have at 17.35 fantasy points, primarily driven off that rushing upside, of course. And then where can we find Jared Goff? Jared Goff, they currently have at 17.85 total points. So yeah, you have the live chat as well as Underdog saying Goff. And Underdog is a 4-point passing touchdown format as well. Like I said, a little bit tough in a 4-point passing touchdown league. If it is a 6-point passing touchdown league, it's Goff and you don't even think about it. But Frankie coming out says 12-team PBR format where we have Lawrence Purdy, Saquon Pierce, AJ Ayuk, Mike Williams, Laporta. On the bench, we have Algier, Mitchell, Thielen, Dotson, Kincaid. We need some trade ideas. We don't have any trades here, my man. I'm sorry to say it. Like the thing is fundamentally down there on that bench, what player are people excited to go trade for? I don't see anybody that people would be excited for, my man. I think you're in a tough spot. You just need to work the waiver wire. But, I mean, overall, we're just waiting until we get, say, Brandon Ayuk, Saquon Barkley back. Then we'll have a great team. Now, James coming out says, pick 3 in a full BBR format. We have Kirk, Nico Collins, Aaron Jones, and Javonte Williams. If Aaron Jones plays, we're going to go with Nico, Aaron Jones. Oh my gosh, this is all so tough. Hopefully Aaron Jones doesn't play so we can just have an easy answer here. I don't know, my man. Because now that you have no Zay Jones, Christian Kirk's viable. If you wanted to go Kirk, I'm not going to fault you at all. I probably still bench Christian Kirk, but it's damn close. Now, Will says standard flex, Kirk Collins or Jacoby Myers. Most likely going Nico Collins here, even with no Zay Jones. Laze says Mike Williams over T. I don't know if Burrow plays. Completely fine if you want to do that now that we have no Austin Eckler for sure. And then Moss Sanders or Gus Edwards. It's going to be down between Moss or Miles Sanders for you. Not really going to consider Edwards in this range now that you have, say, both Kenyon Drake and Melvin Gordon good to go. Probably do go ahead and take Zach Moss in 100% of the snaps last week. Quay says, full BBR, we lost Chubb. Do we start Ford or Connor? We're going to go Connor. I mean, both guys have tough matchups. Don't know what the overall situation is going to be if you are looking at Kareem Hunt in Cleveland. Wide receiver, Addison or Flowers. We're going to go Flowers with no Odell Beckham Jr. now. And then other receivers are Chase, Lockett, quarterbacks, Lamar. Thanks, Space No. Thank you, my man. Really, really do appreciate you. Now, Mitchell coming out says, one flex, full BBR. We have Cousins, Henry, Aaron Jones, Adams, Keenan, Ertz, Nico. And then on the bench, we have DK, Pitts, Montgomery, Roshan, Dak. Any trades you would suggest? Not necessarily. If you really wanted to go, I kind of like having both these quarterbacks and essentially just playing the matchups between the two of them. I'm fine playing the matchups between these two tight ends as well. I don't see any trades here. I think we're going to be waiting until David Montgomery comes back. I would still start DK Metcalf over Nico Collins, though. Now, Aiden says 10-team BBR format. We get Andrews and Walker. We give Raheem Mostert. So you're going for Mostert, Walker, massive upgrade. Hawkinson, Addison, /Zay. So one of the receivers. I would rather have the Andrews Walker side in a 10-team format, my friend. Running backs are CMC, Mostert, Brian Robinson, Pierce, Ford. Receivers are Amon-Ra, Puka, Addison, Zay, JSN, and DJ Moore. Yeah, I think especially if we have this kind of depth in a 10-team league, typically we just want to get the best player. I think the best player here is going to be Mark Andrews. And then with Raheem Mostert, he's great this week, but it's really hard to know what we have long-term whenever we have Jeff Wilson Jr. back in. But Gabriel says True Hubbard or Miller this week. Thanks, bro. Thank you, my man. I will go with Miller, with him being the only guy to have a shot at leading his backfield in touches. Now, Nick says, got sent a trade, Evans and Kamara for Josh Jacobs. I'm receiving Jacobs. Should I take it? If it is a 10-team league and with one flex, sure, I'm fine with it. 12-team format with multiple flexes, you probably prefer the package. Nathan says, traded Higgins, Puka, Hunt for Chase and Breece Hall. Hunt to Breece Hall. Give me Breece. Higgins at Puka versus Chase. Probably Chase. The team's now Hurts, CMC, Kyron, Zach Moss. Oh, especially if we have this depth. Let's go through and let's get Chase and Breece Hall. Let's get Chase and Hall, my man. I mean, I would love Kareem Hunt to come out here and be the starting running back in Cleveland and take over. Like, I spent more money on Kareem Hunt in underdog drafts than any other running back this offseason. Keep in mind, we were getting him around 17, 18. But at the same time, it's hard to say that, oh, yeah, he's going to be the RB1 over Ford. I think it's going to be a committee backfield. Michael says trade Brian Robinson, DJ Moore for JT Madison. I own Moss and Akers. DJ Moore, Madison, who the hell cares? Give me JT over Brian Robinson if we can wait for the long term. Mason says have to flex Nico over Brian Robinson this week, right? Full BBR format, you could strongly consider it. I still ultimately probably go Brian Robinson. I understand Brian Robinson, really tough matchup against the Bills, though. Now, Broad coming out says 0-2 full BBR, where we have Lamar, Tua, JT, Sanders, Montgomery, Algier, Cup, Wilson, Waddle, Mike Williams, Dotson, Jameson, Ertz. We have two offers. Etienne Gino for Waddle, Lamar, and Ramondre Goff for Waddle, Tua. Do I take either? 0-2 team where we have JT and Montgomery as well. JT, Montgomery, Cup, Waddle. We really should be looking to trade one of these injured guys to get points in this lineup so we don't fall to 0-3. Lamar to Geno is a massive downgrade. Waddle to ETN is like a lateral move, but at least you have someone to play. And the Waddle to Ramondre is a downgrade. Tua to Goff is a downgrade. I like the idea of going through and selling one of these guys that won't be playing this week so we can at least have some production. But in reality, my man, I just don't think you're getting enough production. I don't think you're getting enough value here. Maybe I'm a little bit too high on Waddle. I just think you're not getting enough. Now, Tyler says 12-team PBR format. We have 2 flex spots. Hurts, Brian Robinson, Walker, Chase, St. Brown, Pitts, Williams, Flowers, with Breece, Bigsby, Spears, Dak, Tank Dell, and Saquon. Any moves I should make? Tough spot when Breece isn't startable, when Saquon isn't startable. The only thing I'd say is if we could somehow maybe go to the Joe Burrow team, go to a team that maybe is a little bit nervous at quarterback right now, and send them possibly Dak Prescott and a running back like Brian Robinson just to get a slight upgrade at RB, or send them maybe Dak Prescott and Zay Flowers to go get a slight upgrade at wide receiver. That would be something that I'm looking to do, my man. I think we could do that. Now, Jacob says, should I trade Pickens and Tua for Josh Allen? Hell yes, I would love that. Legend says start Gibbs or Stevenson. I'm going to go with Gibbs when you have no David Montgomery in this matchup. Steelo says 12-team full BBR format. We're cooked at receiver with Waddle out. Any advice? We have Watson, Judy, Lockett. I mean, you have guys we can start. I would rank them this week: Lockett, Judy, Watson, assuming he plays. And if Watson's out, then we go Jaden Reed, wide receiver 3. I think you're fine. Now, R-Mac coming out saying, what's up, man? Happy to see you. Says, I have Chubb and Eckler. Brutal. Kamara coming back and managed to trade Andrews and Dalvin for Kelly and Walker. Need a play out of these 3. Smith, Hopkins, Judy, McLaurin. I think we will bench McLaurin. I would have said the DeAndre Hopkins spot would have been the bench previous to him being ruled good to go today. Like if it was like a, say, game time decision, then at that point, I think it would make a lot of sense to just go through and avoid DeAndre Hopkins due to the ankle injury. But if he's clear to go today, I think we will play him. And I mean, honestly, good spot. I know that we lose a couple of RBs, but with Kamara, with Jamal Williams going on the IR, I think you'd be more excited long-term. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you have not done so already, go down there and drop a like on this live stream. Looks like about 10% of y'all have hit that like button. And of course, if you want to check out any of these pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat, find it in the description, find it in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to get a 100% deposit match up to $500 on new accounts on Underdog Fantasy, plus a Lamar Jackson special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard against the Colts tomorrow. And make sure you include Tyreek Hill in your special pick'em. That way you are entered to win $10,000. Underdog's going to be giving away $10,000 to 10 people every Sunday rest of season. And week 1, we actually had a few members of the flock win this, which is really cool. But promo code flock, find that link in the live chat. But Andy says PBR pick 2 wide receivers and a flex. We have Tank Dell, Christian Kirk, Breece Hall, and Miles Sanders. We're going to be going with Christian Kirk for our wide receiver 2. In our flex, we're going to go Miles Sanders. I think Christian Kirk, you can be a little bit more excited about with no Zay Jones. Will says, last one, Sanders or Ford. We're definitely going to go ahead. We are going to take Miles Sanders over Jerome Ford, my man. Ford, really tough matchup. You know what the split is with Kareem Hunt. Jeffrey says, flex start Swift, Zach Moss, or Jacoby Myers. Full BBR format, if you wanted to go with DeAndre Swift, I'm not going to fault you for it. If you wanted to go Zach Moss, I think you could look that direction as well. Just don't play Jacoby Myers over those RBs. Big Body Bird says, we have Jerome Ford. Should we trade Kareem Hunt? We have to drop one of Roshan, Justice, Gainwell, Charbonnet. Who gets cut? Thanks. If you're meaning, do we pick up Hunt off the waiver wire? Then sure. If you mean, do we trade for Kareem Hunt? No. Do we trade away Kareem Hunt? You're not going to get anything. But yeah, I would go through and I would most likely drop Justice Hill for Kareem Hunt off waivers. Now, Matthias says, how BBR pick 2? We have DJ Moore, London, Gabe Dobbs, and then tight end Kincaid and Luke. We're going to go Kincaid at tight ends And wide receiver, we're going to go DJ Moore and London, even if we don't like it. Jack says, should I do Ford and Dotson for Jahmyr Gibbs? Yes, I would. Now, Atrophied says, Kyren Williams, Joshua Kelly, James Cook. We got to pick one. Oh my gosh. I probably still go James Cook, full PPR format. I really do like these other guys, though. Great spot. Legend says, Keenan, Devonta, Amon-Ra, Olave. Trade besides Kelsey. If you're asking who do we trade out of these guys, I would say none. If you really wanted to trade away someone, maybe if you're 0-2 and you think Amon-Ra is a little slow over the next few weeks with the toe injury, you go Amon-Ra. Snakehead, always happy to see you, my man. Says, hey, Mason, appreciate your grind. Look forward to your streams every day. If y'all don't know, he has been with us for years now. Appreciate you, my man. Could use your help. Choose two to start. Madison, James Cook, or Jahmyr Gibbs. I actually really like all these running backs now that you have no Akers in this game. If it's a full PPR format, I'd probably go James Cook and Gibbs. If it's a non-PPR format, I'd probably go James Cook and Madison. Okay. Now, Bid Moon says, respect the game, legend. Need 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and a flex. Mostert, Kyren, Connor, Jacobs. DK, Chase, Evans, Smith. 3 wide receivers, we're going to go Chase, Evans, Smith. Our 2 running backs, we're going to go Mostert, Josh Jacobs. And our flex, we are going to go Kyren Williams here, my man. Now, Mark says, would you trade Eckler for Pollard? I'm 1-1. Yes, I would. If we know for sure Eckler's missing this week and there's a chance that he misses even more time, if you wanted to just go pivot and get another running back that you're pretty damn excited about, let's do it. Now, Max says, Brian Robinson, Mike Williams for A.J. Brown and Pacheco. Start DJ Moore, Addison, Flowers. I would go with DJ Moore out of these guys for this week probably. And I think it's a very fair deal if you want to go and get that elite level wide receiver. Now, Albert says 12-team PPR, 1 flex. We have Burrow, Bijan, Walker, Kyren, Sanders, Akers, Tyreek, Smith. Do we trade away Sanders and Russ? Sanders for Russ and Dotson. I would say if it's going to be a super flex format, then hell yes, let's do it. But no, we're not going to be trading for Russell Wilson. I understand when we have no Burrow, then yeah, we need to have a quarterback this week. Go to the waiver wire. Don't be trading assets to go get Russell Wilson. Jimmy says Lockett or Addison in the flex. Addison long-term, Lockett this week. Now, Jacob says trade Kyren, Diggs for Mixon, Metcalf, and Pittman. Kyren versus Mixon, give me Mixon long-term. Diggs versus Metcalf and Pittman, give me Diggs. Honestly, I'd probably go with the Stephon Diggs side, but it's a close deal. Blank says Juwan Johnson, Gallup, or MVS for the flex. Bad, I know. That is very bad, my man. Send up a prayer and go Michael Gallup with a banged up Cooks, but oh my gosh. Trade says trade JT for Ridley and Ayuk for Stevenson. So essentially, would we rather have JT and Ayuk or Ridley and Stevenson? I'd rather have Ridley and Stevenson. Let's go ahead and let's make that move, my man. Now, Cheddarhead says a full BBR. We have Jerome Ford, Breece Hall, or Terry McLaurin. Given the horrible matchup that Jerome Ford has, plus the potential of a Kareem Hunt backfield split, I probably go Terry McLaurin this week. If you wanted to go Ford, I'm not going to fault you. Full BBR format, I'd probably go McLaurin, though. Now, Lev says, yo, what's up? Who should we play at the flex between Watson, Amari, Moss, Lockett, DJ Moore? Thanks for the help and keep up the good work. Thank you, my man. I think if it's a spot where we are looking for guaranteed touches, which the majority of times that's what we are doing, we probably do want to just go ahead and play Zach Moss. Literally, there was not another running back in this backfield last week to see a snap. And at the same time, my friend, I mean, they just cut Deion Jackson. Like, Zach Moss is going to get legitimately everything here. The Hot Nickel says, London or Lockett for wide receiver 3. Thanks, Boston. Thank you, my man. We will go ahead. We will take Tyler Lockett. I mean, with Lockett, DK Metcalf still banged up. Jason hasn't broken out just yet. I definitely think long-term, we kind of want to be pivoting off if we can. But no, let's go ahead and let's at least start him this week over some of these younger options. And Jimmy said traded Madison for Breece. Who won? I would say I would much prefer Madison this week. I would definitely prefer Brees long term. ER says PBR, 1 running back, 1 flex. We have Cook, Swift, White, Brian Robinson, Nico, and Jerry Jeudy. Running back, we're going to go ahead. We're going to be taking, oh my gosh, probably James Cook. In the flex, we're going to be going with Rachaad White as well. We're going to take both running backs. We're going to be benching Brian Robinson, given the tough matchup that he has going up against a very good Buffalo Bills defense. Now, Logan says Moss, Connor, Najee, or Miller this week. Okay. We're going to be going Moss. Both James Conner and Moss are guys that are pretty much volume plays, but Moss has a better matchup. I mean, obviously, it's still not a great one, but it's a better one. Now, Connor coming out says 1-1, 12-team PBR format, where we have Cousins, Bijan, Kelly, Lamb, Lockett, Andrews, Kirk. And then on the bench, we have Waddle, Kamara, Roshan, Bourne, Reynolds, Condre, Ertz, Jeff Wilson Jr. Thoughts and any upgrades? It's going to be a team where I don't want to make upgrades right now. Maybe long-term we can look to, actually, no, we're not doing that. I mean, this is a great team with the overall balance of it. I mean, it's a nice natural transition whenever we don't have Kamara this week to be able to go through and start Joshua Kelly. But yeah, I think this is a very well-balanced team. The only thing I'd say is if Jeff Wilson Jr. is not in the IR, if he's on the actual bench, I probably would rather roster just a different player off the waiver wire so we can churn that spot over the next few weeks. Jacob says Lamar, Jefferson, Bijan for CMC, AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts. Lamar to Hurts, upgrade. Say Jefferson to CMC, lateral move. Bijan to AJ Brown, clear downgrade. This is a personal preference type of deal. Generally, I'm trying to stay away from trading our 3 best players for their 3 best players. It's never really going to be a win-win move. It's more so going to be like, okay, there's one big winner with this trade and one big loser. Brian says Taysom, Pitts, Laporta, Happy BR, and then Taysom or Kyle Standard. Don't know exactly what we're asking in the second question. Say first question, we're going to be going Pitts. Oh, Taysom or Kyle Pitts in a standard non-PPR format. Taysom's definitely more appealing in a non-PPR format if we're just chasing touchdown upside. I would still probably go Kyle Pitts in both instances. Ryan says, I'm 0-2 PPR for the flex. Atwell, Kirk, Judy, Puka. Oh, we definitely need to go ahead and you need to take Puka here, my man. Like, not even close. We can have this conversation again when Cup is back, but for the time being, you need to go Puka. Now, Smell the Sock coming out. It says PBR pick 2. Walker, Sanders, Robinson, and Kelly. We're going to go Walker and Kelly. Please, everybody start Kelly this week. I know he let us down last week, but just a much, much better matchup where he doesn't have to go up against the Tennessee Titans rush defense this week. Ricky says 10-team PBR format. Should I sub Zach Moss for either Brian Robinson, Kenneth Walker, Jamar Chase, Mike Evans, or Chase? I would go Zach Moss over Brian Robinson here, my man. And then who should we start at receiver? We have Judy and Hopkins on the bench. I would keep wide receivers as is. I would go Chase and Evans over Judy and Hopkins. If you're asking between the 2 of those guys, maybe we have to get someone in. I would go Judy over DeAndre Hopkins. Aaron says, again, Mason, it's a 12-team full PBR 2-0, 3 wide receiver, 2 running back, 1 flex, where we have Mahomes, Ramadre, Kyron, Tyreek, Olave, Godwin, Goddard, Madison, Johnston, Burks, Roshan. Should we trade Ramadre and Roshan for Jahmyr Gibbs? So a format like this, we are a little bit more inclined to go through and build around depth. But with that being said, if we are 2-0 and we have a strong roster like this overall, I would rather just kind of go through and get the player that I think is going to continue to expand his role and be a really strong option in the long term. So I probably do go ahead and I probably take Jahmyr Gibbs in this format here in particular, my man. Now, A Park says 16-team PBR format, 1 running back, 1 tight end, and 2 flex spots, 4 spots total. We have White, Kelly, Warren, Henry, Woods, Josh Reynolds with their groin injury. Not interested in Josh Reynolds in the majority of leagues. Now, with that being said, with this being a 16-team format, obviously things do change. So our running back, we're going to be going with Joshua Kelly. Our wide receiver, our tight end, we're going to be going with Hunter Henry. You only give us that one option. And then for our two flexes, we are going to be going with Rachaad White. And if Josh Reynolds plays, we go Jalen. If Josh Reynolds plays full PPR format, we probably go Reynolds. If not, we go Jalen Warren. El Chavez has traded Garrett Wilson for Christian Kirk and Javonte. Definitely a fair trade. I probably prefer Javonte over Garrett Wilson rest of the season. Now, Uncle Dud says 12-team PPR format 2-0. We need to pick a flex from Kelly, Thomas, Herbert, Hollywood. The lineup is Allen, Walker, Javonte, Jefferson, Williams, Andrews. Would you change this lineup at all? We also have Jared Goff. So our flex, we're definitely going to go with Joshua Kelly. Our next best guy would be Michael Thomas. Would we start Michael Thomas over Jefferson or Mike Williams? Definitely not. Yeah, so just go through, play Joshua Kelly. I think you're going to be in a great spot, my man. And yeah, I would say if you could send like Goff in a package with someone else and go get a slight upgrade either at running back or wide receiver from like the Burrow team, the Fields team, the Watson team, the Richardson team, a team that may needs a quarterback. I think that would be nice. Now, Easy Eddie says, hey, Basin, 1-1, 12-team PBR, 2 quarterback format. We have Allen, Jacobs, Ramadre, James Cook, P. Ryan, Roshan, Charbonnet. Wide receiver, we have Keenan, Puka, Dodson, JSN, Elijah, Reed. Tight end, we have Kincaid, Flex, James Cook, and we're most likely going to go through and flex Jahan Dotson alongside him, especially if you're saying this is a double point per reception format, and then cut any for Fields, Frymuth, or Deontay Johnson. Definitely think I'd pick up Justin Fields. I would cut Jaden Reed for Justin Fields, because I do think that there's a possibility that you have Justin Fields going out there and all of a sudden giving you a massive spike week with some kind of rushing production, and everybody realizes, oh crap, Justin Fields can still be a bad NFL quarterback, but still provide a lot of fantasy production based off his rushing upside. But Ted, our next donation, thank you, my friend, says 1-1, 10-team BBR 3 flex. We have Burrow, Diggs, Lamb, Pollard, Sanders, Andrews, Flowers, London, Kirk. And then on the bench, we're sitting with Judy, Watson, Richardson, Rachaad White, Roshan, Stafford in case Burrow's out. Any improvement or ideas overall? So if we were looking at doing anything, I would like to get Jerry Jeudy in this starting lineup. I actually would start Jerry Jeudy over Zay Flowers this week. I know Jeudy was a little disappointing last week. Should be a very high-scoring matchup. And also, he's another week removed from the hamstring. In the case of Flowers, I think he's a little more appealing. Obviously, when you have no Mark Andrews here, so he can actually be the team's number one targets. So in terms of making any trades, I think the only thing that we could look to do is potentially go ahead and make a 2-for-1 deal where we send like Jerry Jeudy and Christian Kirk to get a better wide receiver for one of those flexes. That would be intriguing. But outside of that, I don't necessarily think this team needs to make any trades. The depth does matter because it's a triple flex league. The only thing I'd say is let's change the starting lineup around right now. Let's put Christian Watson in there over Zay Flowers. Jerry Jeudy in there over Zay Flowers, and Rachaad White in there over Drake London as well. Now, K Styles coming out says, please rate the team and give some advice. We have Mahomes, Diggs, Keenan, Bijan, Etienne, Waller, Puka. On the bench, we have Walker, Gabe Davis, Dylan, Christian Watson, DJ Moore. Any changes to the lineup? Okay. If we were really going to change anything with the lineup, I'd love to get Kenneth Walker in. We can't whenever we have Bijan and Etienne. So essentially the only thing I'd say is if we could send like Kenneth Walker and Puka and go get a truly elite level flex, go get someone in the Tony Pollard range, I think that'd make a lot of sense. Or if you wanted to send, say, Puka and Darren Waller and see if we can go get up to the Travis Kelce range, because this team does have an incredible amount of depth. Great starting lineup, great team. The only thing that I would look to do is make a 2-for-1 deal where we can take advantage of this depth that we have with the team. Now, Lee says, should we trade Stevenson, Ferguson, Hollywood for Andrews where we're 0-2? I'm okay with it if it's a league with one flex spot and 10 or fewer teams. One flex spot, 10 or fewer teams, I'm okay with it. Now, Joe says, who do we start in the double flex? Taysom, Aguilar, Chuba Hubbard, or Braxton Berrios? This is brutal, my friend. Full BBR format, I think we probably go Aguilar and maybe Berrios. Non-PPR league, you can 100% get Taysom Hill in there. Now, Sean says 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. We have Cooks, Hopkins, Gabe Davis, Swift, and Hollywood Brown. We're going to go with DeAndre Swift for the flex. And then the 2 wide receivers, we're going to be going with DeAndre Hopkins and Gabriel Davis. But ladies and gentlemen, please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream, subscribe to the channel. If somehow you're not subscribed already, we have live streamed every single day for 148 days in a row, not stopping until 2024. And also, if you want to check out any of these pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat, find it in the description, find it in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to get a 100% deposit match up to $500 on new accounts. Plus, you're going to be getting a Lamar Jackson special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard against the Colts. And you are going to be getting a shot at $10,000 every Sunday. Underdog's giving away $10,000 to 10 different people. Had a few members of the flock actually win this past week, which was very cool. But all you got to do is include Tyreek Hill in your his total yards as a special pick'em this week. Now, Shake Johnson coming out says, "Hey Mason, love the content. Keep up the good work." Thank you, my man. This is a 12-team PPR format with only 1 flex. We have Herbert, Brown, Smith, Davis, Walker, Brian Robinson, Kelsey, Dotson. And then on the bench, we have Javonte, Kmet, Lazard, Love, Jaden Reed, any moves, and any starters. I actually think we keep this starting lineup as is. The only thing I'd say is I don't love rostering both a backup quarterback and a backup tight end here. I think it's possibly going to limit us a bit on what we can look to do in terms of trying to find the next Karen Williams, trying to find the next Joshua Kelly, trying to find that next guy that comes off the waiver wire that actually moves the needle. So the only thing that I would look to do is potentially cut Cole Kmet. When we have Kelsey, we don't need a tight end here. Yeah, I love the team. The only thing I'd say is, I mean, you're fine rostering 2 quarterbacks if you want to go Herbert and Love, but definitely want to at least go through and cut Kmet and pick up another running back off the waiver wire. Now, Food and Travel Reviews coming out says 12-team full PPR format. I traded Kamara and Sky for Puka and Roshan. Was this a good long-term value with Cup's return? So going from Kamara to Puka, I think most people would have Puka. Honestly, I think it's close. I do like Kamara, given the fact that you have Jamal Williams on the IR. But Sky to Roshan, give me Roshan. Brock says Devontae and Puka for Chase and Waddle. I'd definitely rather have Chase and Waddle, not close. Now, Jurgen says full BBR, Moss, Kelly, Brian Robinson, Higgins, Mike Williams. Who to start a RB2, wide receiver 2, and a flex? We're going to be starting Joshua Kelly, Mike Williams, and Zach Moss. So bench Higgins and Brian Robinson. Now, our next question coming out from Braden, who says 10-team full BBR format where we have Gibbs, Swift, White, Joshua Kelly. Which 3 get the nod? Oh my gosh. Full BBR format, a little bit tougher. I think probably Gibbs, White, and Joshua Kelly in a full PPR league. Honestly, just make sure we're playing Gibbs. Probably make sure we're playing White. It really is down between Swift and Kelly. Non-PPR format's easy to go Kelly. Full BBR format, maybe you go Swift. I could go back and forth there, my man. Great situation to be in, though. Shrek and Fiona out here says full BBR pick 2. We have Ford, Watson, Thomas, Pacheco, and Damian Pierce. We're going to go Michael Thomas and Christian Watson if he's healthy. If not, we'll go Damian Pierce over Christian Watson. JC says 8-team 3 wide receiver. I'm 1-1. Should we trade Ayuk and Ramondre for Taylor? 8-team league? Yes. 8-team league? Yes. The only thing that matters is going through and chasing the highest ceiling possible. Now, Aaron says PBR bench 2, Myers, Hall, Wilson, Addison, and Reynolds. Bench Reynolds. And honestly, full PBR, probably Hall. Probably Reynolds and Hall, as much as it pains me to say. Okay. Riga says, what was your major? Yeah, so I graduated from UT, so University of Texas. I got 2 degrees. I got 1 in biology, 1 in exercise science. I was going to go to med school before YouTube happened. And then The reason I got the exercise science one is just because I really like working out. Like I was on the UT powerlifting team. So I felt like, oh, if I'm going to go to med school, it'd probably be nice to have 2 degrees on my application. So yeah, we got 2 degrees that have nothing to do with fantasy football and what we're doing, my man. Now, Alex says, currently 0-2 in app BBR format. What are your thoughts? Any moves or be patient? And any move suggestions? We have Allen, Cook, Connor, Brian Robinson, Javante, Jefferson, Olave, Amari, Judy, Nico, Elijah Moore, Jameson, Deontay, and then Darren Waller. Okay, this is a very well-balanced league. I'd say we'd be patient. I understand that Darren Waller hasn't been good so far this season. And this coming from someone who was screaming to sell Darren Waller coming into the year. Y'all know I was not a Darren Waller guy. I was in on TJ Hawkinson. But to be fair, I think the reason that he has struggled is based off the matchups. He's had 1 game against the 49ers. He's had another against the Dallas Cowboys. So honestly, I think it's a very fine team with the way it's constructed. We just got to be a little bit patient here, my man. Ryan says PBR double flex. We have Judy, Kirk, Atwell. We're going to be going with Jerry, Judy, Christian Kirk, flex 1 spook. Yeah, go Judy and Kirk, my man. Now, Thomas coming out with a massive dono. Thank you so much, my man. Love the stream and the advice. I have 2 questions in 2 different leagues, both full PPR. Need a running back 2 in a flex between Miles Sanders, Joshua Kelly, and Tyler Lockett. We're actually going to go with both running backs here, my man. We're going to go with the guaranteed volume with Sanders and Kelly. In the other league, we need a wide receiver 2, running back 2 in a flex between Ford, Kelly, Nico, McLaurin, London. No, thank you so much, my man. And I think running back 2, we're going to have to go ahead. We're going to have to play Joshua Kelly. Kelly, in my mind, is a must start. Must start running back in the highest scoring game environment of the week, where he's going to get every single touch as well. And oh my gosh, Ohio State just won the game on a last minute play, time expiring rushing touchdown. That is nutso. That was a good game. But yeah, with Joshua Kelly, he's getting literally every single touch. He's in one of the best offenses and one of the highest scoring games of the week, if not the highest scoring game of the week. So I think if we were looking at this, my man, really it just comes down to wide receiver. I will go Nico over McLaurin, London. And in a full PPR format, I hate to say it, I probably play Drake London over Jerome Ford. I really do like the upside that Ford has if he is the full-blown starter in Cleveland. Now, the issue with that being is fundamentally at the end of the day, it's hard to know if that's going to be the case. When Kareem Hunt signs, he may very well split the backfield. And on top of this, it's such a tough matchup going up against the Tennessee Titans. So I honestly don't want to play Jerome Ford this week. I'd rather wait, see what he looks like this week, and then possibly play him next. Now, Aerosite, happy to see it, my man. Says 2-0, 12 team, 1 flex. We sold Hall and Godwin for ETN. Really like that. Then scoop Jalen Warren off the waiver wire. Phenomenal. So like ETN and Warren for Hall and Godwin. Beautiful, beautiful. We have Fields, Diggs, Higgins, Bijan, ETN, Andrews, Swift, DJ, Javante, Christian Watson, Pierce, Warren, Charbonnet, 7 RBs tips. This is the perfect spot you want to be in. If you wanted to go through, if you wanted to send maybe Fields and one of these RBs, if you wanted to go get an elite level quarterback like Lamar to pair up with Andrews, not going to fault you at all for that. But in a league where you only start 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, this is what we want to do. We want to go through and we want to roster as many running backs as possible that are an injury away from possibly stepping into a 3-down workload where even if we don't need them, then we can get a tremendous amount of value for them, if that makes sense. Yeah, great trade. That's like exactly what we're talking about when we're saying make 2-for-1 deals. We can go out there and we can get that upgrade in the starting lineup while at the same time picking up a guy that we really like off the waiver wire. But A Parks coming out says, damn, I did give you only 1 tight end option. Ingram or Hunter Henry. We're definitely going to go Evan Ingram here, my man, especially with no Zay Jones. And then whichever one of those did you wouldn't pick? Would they override Warren Woods or yes, honestly, I think we would go through. I think we would play them at least over the wide receivers for that flex. But I never say play tight ends at the flex either. Now, Nathan says Kyron and Gus for ETN. Easily ETN for me. Northwest Soul says 12-team BBR. Henry or Kincaid at tight end 2. Henry this week. Kincaid long-term. Dotson, Hall, Devontae Parker, KJ Osborne, Zach Charbonnet for the flex. We will go Jahan Dotson here in a full PPR format. Now, John says, who do I start at quarterback? We have Fields or Geno. We're leaning more towards Geno because I have the Chiefs defense. Want to know your thoughts? I'm never going through and benching a quarterback. I mean, if I have that defense, unless it's like literally a Monday night game where we know exactly the situation and we know the correlation. In reality, we're going to be just fine. You go through, you play Justin Fields. Is pick him on Underdog this week. Is 60 rushing yards. This is someone that's supposed to get a ton of just rushing volume here. Colton says start to Ridley, Evans, Kyron, and DK. We're going to go with the combination of Kyron Williams and Calvin Ridley, my friend. Now, Oz says pick a receiver and 2 flex spots in a 12-team at BBR format where we have Pittman, Addison, Kelly, and McLaurin. Our wide receiver will be Michael Pittman, and then our 2 flexes will be Joshua Kelly and Chris Godwin. Really like Jordan Addison, but I do think we want to give Addison a little more time. And yeah, that was a phenomenal Ohio State game. Like, we got any Buckeyes fans in the chat? I mean, good game there. Good game. I thought there was no way Ohio State was winning that. But Kyle says 10-team full BBR format, Waddle and Addison for Jamar Chase. Especially if you have no Waddle this week. Easy spot just to go through and pivot over to Chase, my man. Now, Chico says, with all the injuries, I may need to start Chuba. Other options are Hunt and Pacheco. I would actually go Pacheco. Also, Nico or Gabe Davis. We're going to go Nico. Thanks for all you do. No, thank you so much, my man, for being a member of the flock. But yeah, I think you can go Pacheco. Chiefs are multi-touchdown favorites in this game. Derek says pick 3 for at BBR format. St. Brown, Olave, Flowers, Addison. We're going to go St. Brown, Olave, Flowers over Addison now that you have no Odell Beckham Jr. Jonathan says Geno, Fields, or Goff in a 6-point passing touchdown format. 6-point passing touchdown format. We are going to go ahead. We are going to take Goff. 4-point passing touchdown format. I wouldn't fault you at all if you wanted to go through and play Fields. Joey says Michael Thomas or Thielen. We're definitely going to go Michael Thomas. And then Miller or Dillon. We're going to be going with Dillon here if Aaron Jones were to miss. If Aaron Jones were to play, it's honestly up to you. Leaning Thielen and Miller. No, definitely play Michael Thomas. Seahawks secondary has been trash. I understand, but if you look at what you have with Las Vegas win totals right now, I mean, they're not necessarily saying this will be a great offense by any means. Now, Tyron says flex at BBR Collins, Moss, or Gus Edwards. We're going to go with Zach Moss. Saw 100% of the snaps this past week. Daniel says 10-team at BBR format. We have Dak, Pollard, Taylor, Kyron, Jefferson, Keenan, Adams, Ingram, Hopkins, Brandon Cooks, Reynolds, Sanders, Hunt, Warren, Goff. Rate and any move ideas. Great in a 10-team league. I mean, honestly, nothing that we're going to be looking to do right now. I mean, because we are sitting here fundamentally just waiting until we end up getting Jonathan Taylor back in. Once we have Taylor back in, then at that point, I mean, maybe we can go through and we can look to make a move with a little bit of depth that we have in a 10-team format. But as of now, we're going to be sitting on our hands, my man. Now, Zach says, pick a running back 2 in a flex. We have Moss, Kelly, Ramadre, Lockett, Madison. Thanks for being the best, Flag Nation for Life. Appreciate you, my man. I actually like a lot of these RBs. We're not going to consider Tyler Lockett here. Full BBR format, I think we go Ramadre, and then honestly, it's up to you, Zach, Moss, Kelly, Madison. All 3 running backs are in very similar situations where they're the only running backs in their backfield getting respective looks. Full BBR format, play Ramadre, and then your call between those 3 RBs. Just don't play Tyler Lockett. And he says, pick 1 full BBR, Watson, Tutu, or Algier. If Watson plays, we go Christian Watson. If Watson doesn't, in a full BBR format, we go Tutu. Jonathan says, trade Debo and Dillon for A.J. Brown. I would go ahead and do this. Yeah, let's go get A.J. Brown, my man, assuming that we get the Debo Samuel points in our lineup this week. Paulski says, traded Keenan, Tua, Kittle, and Jerome Ford for Allen, Kelsey, and DK Metcalf. So massive upgrade at quarterback, massive upgrade at tight end. Keenan to DK, who the hell cares? Yes, great trade. Love that, especially if we get the Allen Diggs stack. That is a no-brainer, my man. That's awesome. Now, Aaron coming out says 12-team PBR, 3 wide receivers, 2 flex. We have Herbert, Bijan, Etienne, Ridley, Amari, Addison, Myers, Wilson, Schultz. And then on the bench, we have Hall, Reynolds, Hunt, Board, Mooney. Any moves? We just traded Brian Robinson for Calvin Ridley. Really like the Ridley side of that, considering the fact that, I mean, you can start up the 5 wide receivers in a week-to-week perspective. Wide receiver depth and wide receivers at the very top end are going to matter a significant amount. I think it's a great team. I would say, I mean, it does seem like we're maybe rostering a little too many wide receivers down there on the bench that don't have the upside to really move the needle. But honestly, that's more so for a league where you start only 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. I think it was a great trade, and I'm going to be completely fine if you want to go through and keep those wide receivers on your bench, specifically because we can start up to 5 wide receivers on a week-to-week perspective. Now, Merrick says 1 quarterback keeper, keep 5. I'm 2-0. Do I go forward or rebuild? If it's only going to be a 5-player keeper, you always go for it. Obviously, Dynasty, completely different story. Dynasty, I mean, rebuilding's always in the cards. But if it's just a keeper league where you keep 5 or fewer players, you treat it like a redraft league. And yeah, especially if you're 2-0, I understand that we're pretty weak at running back. If you wanted to go through and send like a JSN and go get or Jordan Addison, go send Jordan Addison, go get a running back that we can start right now and go actually take one from a rebuilding team. I think that make a lot of sense. You're 2-0. There's no reason to pivot to a rebuild. Ryan says, bro, please pick one. We have Atwell, Kirk, Judy. Thanks. So thank you, my man. Probably go Jerry Judy in a high-scoring game environment. I do think that Christian Kirk's viable with no Zay Jones now. YRN says, full BBR, 2 running backs and a receiver. Najee, Sanders, Ford. Ooh, if I tell anybody, probably Sanders and Ford. My own team, I'd probably start Najee, but I'm an idiot. Yeah, I'd say most people go Sanders, Ford, and then Wilson or Godwin. We're going to go with Godwin over Garrett Wilson. Cody says 12-team PBR 1 flex. We have Daniel Jones, CMC, Walker, Keenan, Olave, Metcalf, Swift, Komet, London, JT on the bench. Traded Walker and Keenan for Bijan. What are your thoughts? Great move. 1 flex league. I mean, with this team being loaded up, now that we're able to pair up CMC, Bijan Robinson, that is nuts. I think that's a team that even has enough depth where if we can go attack like the Nick Chubb team, the J.K. Dobbins team, maybe a team that needs some running back help, maybe if we can go through and send them a running back depth piece like DeAndre Swift and Daniel Jones to go get an elite level quarterback, I think that would make a lot of sense as well. But let's go ahead and move this over. We got Not Searching says, pick 2, Javonte Pacheco, Ford, Moss, Gus Bus, and Latavius Murray. We're going to go with the combination of the Gus Bus and Zach Moss. Zach Moss is a player that you have to go with. If you don't want to play Gus Edwards and instead you wanted to go with Ford, Javonte, or Pacheco, not going to fault you on that front, my man. Now, real quick, it looks like we actually have some more people joining us. I guess it's because we have obviously a lot of key games ending. But real quick, if you have not done so already, please go down there. Drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. We're going to be live streaming every single day until 2024. No days off. And then, of course, if you want to check out any of these pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, use promo code FLOCK. Find your link in the live chat description comment section. I mean, promo code FLOCK is going to get you a 100% deposit match up to $500 with a new Underdog account. One of my favorite pick'ems that you have right now is going to be Mike Evans for more than 4 receptions against the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday night. But also with the new account, you're going to be getting a Lamar Jackson special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard. And ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you include the Tyreek Hill special pick'em on his total yards. Underdog's going to be giving away $10,000 to 10 separate people. They did last week, and we actually had a few members of the flock winning that, which was awesome. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Marin says, Sanders, Alexander Madison, or Michael Thomas at the flex. I wouldn't have said this previously, but now that we get confirmation that you have no Cam Akers this Sunday, I'm going to go with Madison as a running back that's going to see every single touch in his backfield, while at the same time should be in the high-scoring game of the week. Now, Brendan says traded Kyron London Gibbs for Justin Jefferson. Beautiful trade. We have Jefferson, St. Brown, Tua, BJ Moss, and Njoku. A great deal, especially if it's only a 1 flex trade, my man. That is an absolute no-brainer. Now, Robles says start 2 at BBR. We have Kyron Walker, Mixon, and DeAndre Swift. We're going to be going with Kenneth Walker, Joe Mixon, if Joe Mixon, if Burrow's good. If Burrow's not good, then we probably have to pivot to Kyron. Hit says flex PBR, Najee, Garrett Wilson, Christian Kirk, or Terry McLaurin. Full PBR format, I honestly probably go Christian Kirk, I guess, over Breece now. I'm sorry, over Najee. Breece, Najee, tomato. Just given the fact you have no Zay Jones and how much volume we saw last week. Now, Brian Lowe says 10-team half PBR format. 3 wide receivers. Trade Brian Robinson, Michael Thomas for Zay Flowers and Javonte. We have Ramadre, Kenneth Walker, and James Cook. Brian Robinson to Javonte, lateral move. And I'm saying this as someone who had Brian Robinson as a buy low guy last week. Thomas to Zay, lateral move as well. I think it is a personal preference. I would say that you probably have more value right now on the Brian Robinson side. Now, Daniel says, traded Walker JSN for Adams. 0-2. Was this a good move? Yes, because if you're 0-2, we can't afford to wait for the long-term upside of Jackson Smith and Jigba. If you're 0-2, you just kind of have to get some points right now. But Kyle coming out says, pick 2, full BBR format for the flex. Dameon Pierce, Jaden Reed, Sky Moore, Condre Miller, and Allen Robinson. I think we're going to go with the combination of Dameon Pierce as well as Condre Miller. The only instance in that we would change this is if Christian Watson were to miss, then at that point you could pivot from Miller over to Jaden Reed. Now, Jonas says traded Kamara and Pittman for Josh Jacobs and Brandon Ayuk. This is a 10-team PBR double flex league. Kamara to Jacobs, upgrade. Pittman to Ayuk, upgrade. Yeah, if you can afford to not have that production this week, I definitely think that you got the better side of it. Now, Matt says pick 2 PBR format. Garrett Wilson, London, and Jerry Jeudy. Probably Garrett Wilson and Jeudy, but honestly, if you ask me this question 1,000 times, I would mix in some Drake London in there. I mean, I'm really not excited about starting Garrett Wilson. Ultimately, at the end of the day, this is a spot where the New York Jets, New England Patriots game has the lowest over-under of any game in the NFL this week, and it should be something that we are looking to avoid if we can. But see if we have any general chat questions. Craver says, Javonte or Breece Hall rest of season? I would love to know your opinion on this question in the live chat. Can everybody please go through and spam the chat? Would you rather have Breece Hall or Javonte Williams? Let me know. Breece Hall or Javonte Williams? Obviously not this week, rest of season. Hall, Javonte, Hall. Javonte, Hall, Javonte, Hall. It does look like most people are going Breece Hall here. Looks like we have slightly more Breece Hall. Now, our next switch coming out from Matthew says, pick 2, Breece, Swift, McLaurin, Madison, Gus. We're going to go Swift and Madison here, my friend. HB says, flex Kelly or Javonte. Definitely going to go Joshua Kelly. I think Kelly is in the high scoring game this week. He's getting every touch out of his backfield. He is someone that you have to start. Marcus says, full BBR, Fields or Goff, and then Pickens or Addison. We're going to go Pickens. I think I'd rather have Addison long-term, but Pickens this week with no Deontay Johnson. And then Josh says, what should we do with our team? It's a full BBR 1-1 where we have Herbert, Eckler, Aaron Jones, White, Waddle, St. Brown, Godwin, Collins, Kittle. Not sure what to trade for. We have the Herbert Eckler stack. Obviously, we don't have this running back in the short term, however. I mean, if you wanted to go through, if you wanted to send maybe like, say, actually, no, I don't even want to do that. I think it's a great team. If we could send like maybe Nico Collins and get Mike Williams to get the double stack there with Justin Herbert, I think it would make it even better. But yeah, great team. I think you're chilling, my man. You're waiting until you get those running backs back and healthy. Which hopefully we have Aaron Jones back and healthy this week. Pops Holly coming out, joining the flock. Happy to have you. Please let me know if you have any questions in the general chat, my friend. Let me know. But Matt says, should I trade Mixon for Jacobs? Interesting question. Can everybody let me know this in the chat as well? I mean, obviously, a lot of this hinges on the health that we get from Joe Burrow. I mean, both running backs have had a nice workload. Both running backs have nice roles so far. It's a tough spot overall, but... And everybody, please spam the chat. Would you rather have Mixon or Josh Jacobs? We got Jacobs, Mixon, Jacobs, Mixon, Jacobs, Mixon, Jacobs. Yeah, it looks like most people are going Josh Jacobs here, my man. Not going to fault them at all. Obviously, tough week for Jacobs this past week, but should be much better going forward. Jose says, how BBR, barely point per carry. Jaden Reed or Tony Jones. Probably Jaden Reed almost regardless. Ethan says Swift, Brian Robinson, or Pacheco in a full PBR format. This week, I'm going to go with DeAndre Swift with Brian Robinson having a really tough matchup. Scott says pick one full PBR, Stevenson, Raheem Mostert, or Zach Moss. Honestly, if you look at our rankings this week, these running backs are pretty damn close. Like in our flex rankings, we have Stevenson at 23. Where did we put Mostert? Did we forget to rank Mostert? Mason, are you an idiot? No, we have Raheem Mostert a tier below. I think if it was a non-PBR format, I'd probably go with Raheem. In a full PBR league, I'm probably actually going to stick with Ramondre Stevenson, my man. Now, EJ says, hold or sell on JT. What can we get in a trade for JT? I think JT is going to be valued in about the Travis Etienne range right now. I would say if you're 2-0, where we can think long-term, I'm actually going to be looking to hold Jonathan Taylor. Whereas if you're 0-2 and need some points right now, I'd be looking to sell Jonathan Taylor. So it really depends on your team and your situation, my friend. But Anthony coming out says trade Mike Evans and Brian Robinson for A.J. Brown. Hell yes, I would do this. The team is, actually, no, let me think. Team is Dak, Higgins, Amari, A.J. Brown. Okay, yes, I would. Because this team is loaded. If this is like a 10-team league, one flex, I think that you have to go through. You have to get this deal done. Now, with that being said, if this was instead a 14-team format or a 12-team league where you start 3 wide receivers and multiple flexes, then you probably actually just stick with the package side of things. But I'm going to assume that this is only a 10-team format based off how loaded our team is there. Superfish says non-PBR start Kyron or Swift. If you look at our rankings, I mean, we are going to have these guys close. Obviously, DeAndre Swift in the better offense. Kyron Williams with the more guaranteed workload just because there's nobody else there. I have Swift at 34, Kyron Williams at 35 in our flex rankings. I really do think it's up to you, my man. Typically, I go with the guy. Actually, in a non-PBR format, I think we go with the guy in the better offense. I think we go DeAndre Swift. A Tribe Called Nev says, always love the L. PBR 10-team league, 1-1. We have Amon-Ra Swift for A.J. Brown, Pierce, or try for Brown and Kamara. Down bad at running back, we have Jalen Hurts to stack. So Amon-Ra to A.J. Brown, lateral move. Swift to Dameon Pierce, downgrade. Amon-Ra to Brown. I think you would have to go for Kamara. If you wanted to go for Kamara, then yes. I just think the first deal doesn't really accomplish anything. Like I would rather have DeAndre Swift over Dameon Pierce right now, considering the fact that Pierce is in a running back where they're split in the backfield. I mean, in a backfield where they're splitting it 3 ways. And at the same time, obviously, this offensive line is decimated and the team just simply cannot run the ball. Now, Hits coming out says defense, Pittsburgh, Carolina, or Baltimore. I think we may actually end up going Baltimore here. Baltimore is favored by more points than Pittsburgh or Seattle. Typically, you are wanting to play defenses that are going to be out to a large lead because the reality of the situation is more times than not, your defenses are going to be scoring points if they are generating sacks and generating turnovers. How you do that is you want the team like passing the ball against you in garbage time. So I'd probably go with Baltimore against, Gardner Minshew at this point. Now, Tim Ski says, PBR, pick 2 to flex. We have Zach Moss, Scary Terry, and Najee Harris. Full BBR format, we'd probably go Zach Moss and Scary Terry. Logan says, full BBR, pick 2. We have Nico Collins, Jacoby Myers, Chris Godwin, Tank Dell, and A.J. Dillon. Under the assumption we have Aaron Jones playing, I would like to avoid A.J. Dillon. If Aaron Jones were to miss, then obviously a must-start player. I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to go Godwin and Nico Collins. I understand why Jacoby Myers is interesting. You look great week 1. Obviously, he's good to go now. But still, tough spot, my man. I'm trying to think. And then also, please, if you're in the live chat, do not be spamming the same question over and over again. Isaiah says, bro is still live. Yeah, yes, sir. You better believe we are still live. Well, we've only been live for 3 hours. There have been a lot of days where we've gone through and we have streamed for 6 hours at this point. Tomorrow we're going to be waking up like 6 in the morning and streaming from about 7 to noon. And then we have like, God knows how many interviews to do after. And then we're going to be up until 2 in the morning making videos. So, yes, you better believe it, my man. But I think we'll probably cut it here because we're going to have to wake up super early to go live tomorrow morning. We'll, real quick, answer this. Andrew says, happy BR have Chase, Ridley, Williams, Judy, Jameson. Tank Dell was offered Adrian Brown for Chase. I'd probably hold on to Chase, my man. But again, thank you so much, everybody. If you have not done so already, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. I'll go ahead. I'll answer some questions in the comment section after we end this live stream. So just make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and if you want to check out any of these pick'ems on Underdog Fantasy, promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match up to $200. Plus, you're going to be getting our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers, a Lamar Jackson special pick'em more than less than half a total yard, a shot at $10,000 every Sunday. Underdog is going to be giving away $10,000 to 10 separate people. Had a few members of the flock win that this past week. And we're also shipping out a ton of flock fantasy ads for members of the flock. So please make sure if you signed up to Underdog with promo code FLOCK, you go to the Discord, you fill out that Google form if you're on flockfantasy.com, and if you're on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, because we have a ton of hats still waiting around the living room that I'm trying to get out, and we do not have nearly enough people filling out that Google form. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. I really do appreciate you. I really hope you have a great day, and really hope we get to see you in the live stream tomorrow morning.